Really Big Show with Jim Check and Ian Burns.
Well, it's Friday, June 12th. It's almost like we're almost at the halfway point here, and beautiful day here in the Okanagan. Our headline, a little bit shocking to some, for sure, right? I guess the bigger question is, why is Canada, like especially the politics of Canada, so focused on hate? And I guess the answer for them is like, because it works. Why not? If it works, do it more. Justin Trudeau said that himself. Politics, division, work. So we do it. Those are his words. We got some love to share with you, though. And we always like to share the feedback that comes into our show. Love you guys. You're the best. Thank you. You guys are the best. How's that? You should be on TV replacing CBC and CTV. Can you imagine if we were on TV replacing David Cochrane and Rosie Barton? It'd be a different Canada. I guarantee it'd be a different Canada. You can leave that up there for a second. We had Sam Cooper on yesterday. Great interview. Like one, we keep saying, some people say that's your best interview. That's your best interview, and I'm going to keep saying our best interview is the next interview. I'm going to say that over and over again. But Sam, great interview, and yeah, somebody said great interview, and then actually terrified now. I mean, that is the tough part, the reality, the harsh reality of it. What do you think of Sam yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it's dark, isn't it? But that's why I tried asking that question about the light that guides us. But yeah, I mean, he's one of a kind. You know, there's a lot of talk about journalists and journalism and referring to him as one of those journalists that XYZ. I was almost tempted to describe him as Canada's journalist. In the singular, he is Canada's journalist. You know, we have one. That's the extent of our ambition in this country. We have one journalist, and his name is Sam Cooper.
Well, he puts himself in harm's way. I mean, you can't say that about a lot of the rest of them. They're too busy like suckling up to the hog there and, waiting for their sausage rolls. We're going to show you some evidence of that as well in a bit here. But our headline, we didn't put it up there because we wanted a splashy headline. We wanted to put it up there because it actually is based. And we're going to start off with one of the stories that is it's absolutely crazy. Here's Elon Musk right now today. Elon Musk becomes the first trillionaire to SpaceX goes public. I mean, it's a huge deal. And it actually shifts our planet from a terrestrial planet to an interstellar planet. Like, I mean, we are going to the stars. We're going to interplanetary species. Elon Musk has a vision. I mean, I don't know anybody else that had that vision that actually could make something happen. But we're going to play a little clip here for this because this is a monumental moment here.
Square at Starbase, it's SpaceX celebrating its record-breaking IPO, a $75 billion offering priced at $135, and it's TBO in Chicago. It's the Illinois Public Pension Fund Association nonprofit found.
That's good there. There's something interesting about this IPO, and I know some people might get bored of this, but Elon Musk priced it. Nobody's done that before. Like, he's actually said this is the price, because it would have opened a lot higher than this if you let the JP Morgans and the Goldman Sachs determine this range here, because they would have taken as much fat off the cow as they could have. Elon Musk and the CFO said, no, this is the price. This is what we're doing. And he also allocated 30% of the float to retail. I mean, I put my name in for some, and I got some this morning at the IPO price. Got one more clip here to play here from, we can talk over it, I guess, this clip here of SpaceX. Maybe. There you go. So SpaceX, this is also very interesting about SpaceX. Everybody that works at SpaceX, from somebody that works in the cafeteria to the welder, to the engineers, to the executive team, all get shares. They all get shares. And today, that's good. And today, 4,400 of them are going to become millionaires. Some of them 100 millionaires. Some of them close to the $1 billion mark, that depending on how long they've been there, they have the option to buy shares as they work there. And that's right, like I said, right down to the welder. Most companies give their C-suite options. This so-called fascist here, according to many of the lunatic left, call him a fascist. What company does that? There's a reason that nobody wants to unionize in SpaceX or Tesla, is because it gives them shares. They do better off. They did the same thing in Giga Berlin. They're just like, we don't want to join you. We want stock options. We want shares. Elon Musk has turned a lot of people into multi-millionaires today, like multi-millionaires. And you would think that the NDP and people like that would be shouting from the rooftops, because this is an example of a company that should be trumpeted out there. He made sure everybody shared in the wealth. Like, how many? Like, there's welders and cafeteria workers becoming millionaires today. Millionaires.
I'm sure that happened at Brookfield though as well when Mark Carney got his generous options.
I'm sure. Yeah, everybody got some there. I guarantee not. And like again, he said,
What is it though as well? Elon Musk. How many times has this man been? How many times have I read an article in The Economist or Forbes or some crap magazine like that, the New York Times or the BBC even? How many times have I read an article saying, "Oh, this is it for Elon. He's finished." Like when he bought X, when he backed Trump, when he talked about this IPO, even people were saying like, "Oh no, this is not looking good." The AI race, when he sued OpenAI, how many times has Tesla been dead? I can't even remember now. How many times? How many obituaries have been written for Tesla at this point? Thousands. And here he is now, having a laugh about being a trillionaire and sending tweets to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
He is the world's first trillionaire. And look at this piece from the Globe and Mail. And that's why we put this headline in. Look at this piece. SpaceX IPO makes Musk a trillionaire. Here's how to properly hate him. What? This is the guy that is the most consequential person on this planet. The Ben Franklin, the Edison, whatever you want to call him, the Da Vinci of our time. And this is the Globe and Mail. This is Canada's government-funded propaganda outlet. This is Canada's, what did you say? Canada's paper of record? Newspaper of record? This is it. This is it. The ones that suckle at the Liberal Party. And here's a person that they've labeled as a fascist. And he's looked after people. And he has all that wealth, and he doesn't have big yachts, and he doesn't do all those things that, the other ones do. He's not like Bill Gates off, onto various islands. Although Bill Gates, it's weird. Bill Gates is a hero to the left media, an absolute hero. He's also an expert in everything. And I fixed the headline there on my X account. If you ever want to follow me on X, I says you can't hate the corrupted media enough, right? You can't hate them enough.
I've just looked at the article now, and they've changed the headline. They've changed it to SpaceX is set to make Elon Musk the first trillionaire. Is that a bad luck for capitalism? No, but this story has been a bad luck for the Globe and Mail. And also, I would just add, I read the story. It's an exceedingly banal story, a very, very boring point that they make in this story, or he makes, a guy called Chris Gay. He makes a point about basically inequality and how the benefits of technology and commerce are accruing to the top 10%. Such a boring article. Like, there's just nothing interesting about this article. But obviously, a copy editor or whoever it is that does the headlines for the Globe and Mail, they read this. They managed to stay awake when they read this article somehow, and then they said, "All right, I'm going to try and entice people to come to it. How should I do that?" And there's the answer. Now, the Globe and Mail, they've even got a little note at the bottom of the story now saying, a previous headline on this article did not meet the Globe's editorial standard.
Good one.
What standard is that? Also, I would just say, it doesn't meet the Globe standards. Read the story in the first sentence. This man doesn't use the word hate. He says, is it okay to despise Elon Musk? Not just hatred, but talking about despising this noble Canadian citizen who wants to take us to the stars.
I tell you right now, if I had Elon Musk's money, and Elon, if you're listening, buy the Globe and Mail, shut them down, and burn the building down, and make them watch. Is that too rough? Because it's just despicable. That's what's despicable. They're despicable. Defund them. Stop allowing them taking your tax dollars to spread hate and misinformation, disinformation, basically hatred. Hatred of the capitalist society. That's what the Western societies are built on, capitalism. And here's a capitalist that gives money back. Literally almost everybody that works there has become a multi-millionaire today. You tell me one company that has ever done that for its people. Name one. Name bloody one.
Well, he's the most successful capitalist probably in history, but that's not all he is. He's also the most successful Canadian capitalist in history.
Yeah, and this is how
if you prefer
the
that word.
Celebrates Canada, right? Instead of saying, today's Elon Musk with Canadian roots becomes the world's first trillionaire. Celebrate that for Canada. Nope. This is how you can hate him and despise him. Defund the media. Spread this news outlet show to everybody you can. And here's the great hope for the Democratic Party. Listen to this. Lunatic.
Elon Musk
Take it away, Alex.
is not a scientist. He is not an engineer. He is a billionaire con man with a lot of money. He does not have this kind of good background. And in fact, while there's some disruption over that, I sincerely ask you all to examine what expertise he has.
That's the Democratic Party. That's the Liberal Party. Right there. The party of hate, deception, lies, corruption. We're going to show you tons of that too.
She should move to Canada because that was an appeal to credentialism, wasn't it? He doesn't have this good background. What does that mean? Do you know what that means? Have you even contemplated what that might mean? I just want to respond to a lot of people talking about, like, some people, and I think this is totally understandable, have like misgivings about the idea of one human being possessing this much wealth, more than I don't know how many countries, dozens of countries, GDPs, I would imagine. And even some countries like national wealth, he will theoretically have more. But I just want to say that's a long conversation, well worth having. I agree, it is worth having that conversation, and it is a little bit unsettling. But I would just say this is very much like, okay, he's a trillionaire, whatever. It's very much theoretical, I would say. He's not, and people might not agree with this, but he's not really a trillionaire. He just has lots of theoretical wealth. And if he decided to cash in on that wealth, he would lose it. It would lose value.
Yeah, he would flush
So he's not really. It's just he runs companies that are unbelievably successful and in massive amounts of demand. And as a consequence, the stock he owns in those companies is inflated to crazy values. So on paper, it looks like he's a trillionaire, but I mean, it's not like he's not like an old king in the ancient times sat on a giant pile of gold and just like he can throw the gold around. It doesn't really work like that nowadays. And it's a lot of it is based on debt and things like that. It's a lot more complicated than it seems, basically, is what I'd like to tell Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez if she would ever listen.
He is, in what they call in Star Trek, the world's biggest disruptor ever. He disrupts industries, he disrupts technologies, and even to the people here that might be listening and that love EVs, he's the only one that's done it successfully. The only one that has done it successfully. And this doesn't even factor in Optimus yet. Optimus, he says, is going to be the greatest product ever. There's so many things. He leads in the leading industries in the world. Any nation would scream to have this man. And he's basically like contributes significant amounts to the market cap of the United States of America. And instead of Canada saying, hey, why don't you spread some of that wealth here to Canada, which we would need, we do this. Our record of paper puts out this hateful piece of garbage. You can't defund them fast enough. Elon Musk should be celebrated here in Canada. Should be celebrated. He went to lived in Saskatchewan. So all you Saskatooners out there are Saskatchewan people. Claim that guy, put up a big sign, home of Elon Musk. And he also went to university in Ontario. Clowns.
But yeah, as well, he's not one of these people that just kind of squats on wealth, is he? He's not like he's not like the TSX, which is just full of squatters like RBC, and so it's not like that. It's not rentier, as the communists might say, or the Marxists. It's not rent extraction. This is wealth creation, and as Jim said, disruption. This is like technological innovation, the likes of which I thought we all liked. I thought we were all happy to see this kind of thing. This is like innovation with a purpose. This is not just innovation as in, oh, if I get a dominant position in this market, like MasterCard or something, then I can
the dishes
2.5% for 100 years, and I'll just live in the Caribbean on a yacht. And great times. Everybody's going to have fun. That's not what Elon does. He's not like that, And AOC there almost tries to like put him in that category as if that's what he is. And I think maybe that's what I find the most insulting. Also saying he's not an engineer. If Elon Musk is not an engineer, what's an engineer? Define engineer. If he is not an engineer, I don't know what one is. I don't know if it's possible to outline a definition of the word engineer that doesn't include Elon Musk.
She's a bloody fool. And yet she is the hope of the Democratic Party. That tells you how bad the Democrats and the Liberals are. These are the people they put forward. Look at the Liberal cabinet ministers. AOC would actually probably be better than most of them. Like she'd be better than Lena Diab and Gary and the rest. But I mean, they just spread messages of hate, misinformation, disinformation. Here's Ben Shapiro picked it up as well. So Ben Shapiro out of the United States saw this piece from the Globe and Mail. And this is a reaction from one of the bigger podcasters out there in the United States.
Who is influential with the governing party in the United States as well.
And this is
this will do the rounds in the Republican Party circles, which is probably not a good idea.
This is a reflection on Canada. This is it. This is the politics of hate. Clearly the most important
side of the coin. Look, I hate to get biblical. It's Cain and Abel, isn't it? This is dealt with very, very early in the Bible.
This is the politics of hate. This is the choice of the ruling party in Canada. The politics of hate. The politics of division. Instead of celebrating the world's most important person. How many countries would take Elon Musk in a heartbeat and say, like, if he said, I'm moving out of the United States, how many would say, well, they would never let him move because a lot of his stuff is tied to United States supremacy and their military might. Like people that say, Elon Musk lives off the government. The government might live off of him in many, many ways.
Well, certainly when it comes to rocket launches, one of the most important abilities to have if you want to be a nation. The
and Starlink
absolutely do rely upon Elon Musk for getting into the atmosphere. Look at the rockets launched in the last 5 years or something like that. There's lots of charts you can find, and look how much higher SpaceX is than the United States. It's like the United States is a fraction of SpaceX's launches. But fortunately for the United States, SpaceX is in the United States and is sort of loyal to the United States.
Shameful. The media in Canada cannot be defunded fast enough. This is not a representation of most Canadians, though. This is not a representation of most Canadians. Most Canadians are probably the most giving, loving, and free. But the elite somehow has befuddled Benny and has convinced them that hatred is the path forward.
Boogie Boo as well here saying, how ridiculous, the Rothschilds. I mean, I don't know about the Rothschilds. Certainly, yeah, if you adjust for inflation and you also factor in the history of wealth and the history of civilization, people will have been richer than him relative to the rest of the I don't know about the Rothschilds. I'm not sure they were as rich as people assume they were. But I would also say, you know, when you look at the Forbes richest man or richest person or whatever, they don't. That's just people who we can actually gather data on. There are lots and lots of people on this planet with lots and lots of money who we know very little about. Not just world leaders, like you. Presumably, people will be familiar with the idea that Vladimir Putin's the richest person in the world, or Xi Jinping, or some sort of corrupt dictator like that. But there's also like black market wealth, and there's just the people who are really rich but just don't reveal themselves. They want to be hidden. They don't want to appear in Forbes magazine, you know? So, yeah, I mean, he's getting this attention for many reasons, but one of the reasons is that he's above board. He's public. He's open about it.
Yeah. Well, here's this from Blacklock's here. Most Canadians now get their news from government-paid press, not by choice. The chief lobbyist for subsidized dailies yesterday told the Commons Finance Committee, subsidized media, foundational. He's the CEO of NewsMedia Canada. Foundational. The written word or text-based journalist tends to be foundational in terms of what is often used in radio and television. If you're watching CBC at night, here's my ad lib there. If you're watching CBC at night, get a mental wellness check. Often the lead story on The National is something that Bob Fife and Steve Chase broke in the Globe and Mail. So garbage leads to more garbage. So it's foundational. We work very close with our partners and with our broadcasters. The government of Canada, I have to say...
If you've been reading Fife's articles lately, he's getting the same phone calls and text messages from the same people in the Liberal Party trying to dish out information. They're both sort of like eating from the same trough. They both get the stories ahead of time, at least since Carney came to power. They're obviously both, CBC and the Globe and Mail, they're both on the list of recipients when the Liberal Party wants to push something out to their advantage. And they both dutifully then publish.
Look, I just went to CBC because I just figured I'd have a look and see if Elon Musk made the front page there, because it is one of the most biggest stories today. The biggest IPO ever. And instead of Elon Musk there, you know what's in there? Taylor Swift inducted into Songwriters Hall of Fame. Okay. Because she's contributed so much to society.
Above that is something about a Steven Spielberg film as well. And then above that is, among Christian conservative women, potential trouble in support for Trump.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, I mean, they're doing what matters, aren't they?
So they're testifying committee now, because right now there's $29,750 a year for journalists in these newsrooms. They're supposed to roll back, and then they're whining because they want more now. And sure, the Canadian journalism labor credit is maintained at 35%. So they're there at the government pig. Well, you've stuffed the pig. Now they want to drain the pig. You tell me, is CBC trustworthy? How many Canadians still believe in the CBC or the Globe and Mail after that headline?
Look at this.
I used to subscribe to the Globe and Mail, and I canceled it. And I sent them a reason why. I said, like, you're literally writing garbage. Like, this is activism.
Look at this. I don't know if you read this sentence I just said, but I was mesmerized by it when I saw it. The government of Canada, I have to say, has been terrific over the last number of years on policies supporting the news publishing sector. Policies like Bill C-18, which took an axe to independent media. But I guess this dork doesn't really care about that, does he? As long as Bob Fife is receiving emails from Liberal Party apparatchiks and then dutifully saying, oh, of course, I'll publish this for you right away. Liberals invent the wheel. Like, come on.
Sun comes up this morning, courtesy Liberal Party.
Christ, I mean, you know, listen to that Sam Cooper. Listen to the part of the Sam Cooper interview where Jim asks him about the media. And that's my only comment. Just listen to that.
And this is Elon Musk also likely saved Western civilization, or the freedom of the Western civilization, when he bought X. A daring move, because at that time, censorship was going crazy. Like censorship, they had censored a sitting president at the time and censored this young man here, Bobby. Let's listen to what Bobby has to say. The point there. When Elon Musk bought X, the left lost its mind. He's a threat. He's an absolute threat. That's why the Globe and Mail writes these disparaging articles. He's a threat. He's a threat to their power. He's an absolute threat to their power.
Because they can't set the tone anymore. They don't have a monopoly on the distribution of information. But it's more than that. It takes something away from their dignity. They're now figures of fun and amusement, and they didn't used to be. But the other thing is, what did Elon do with that? He revealed to Western countries that people who disagreed with the progressive establishment were not some tiny minority of freaks. They were actually many in number. And he gave them a place to come together and to, reveal themselves to each other and make other people feel like you're not alone. I also think this progressive system is stupid and I don't like it. And, that shouldn't be an immoral thing to say. That certainly shouldn't be an illegal thing to say. And that is, I think, to a great extent, that is the vibe shift that people talk about. A space was created for people to be open and to speak to each other and, to congregate and to show each other that they're there, to announce themselves as a part of this democratic system. And that changed the tone, because before that, when Twitter was a progressive censorship machine, it really kind of looked like when you go on there, it'd be like, all right, so this is just normal. Like all this stuff about land acknowledgements and black with a capital B, but white with a lowercase w, and all this mad bollocks, and the Floyd era and all the rest of it. Like, oh, that's normal then. And I'm the freak because I'm not sure about this. I'm part of the intellectual dark web because I disagree with this insane extremism. And with the purchase of Twitter and conversion of it into X, yeah, people got to see that, okay, so I'm normal. They're the freaks. They're the extremists, as I maybe thought all along.
And they like to talk at you. They don't like to converse. They don't like to hear from you. We have our comments open. But you'll see, like, even Stephen Fuhr, our local MP here, what did he do? He shuts down his X account and goes to Blue Sky because he don't like feedback. CBC,
well, you're not going to get any feedback on Blue Sky because there's nobody on Blue Sky. Yeah, you're just shouting into the void.
But that's what I mean. They like to talk at you. They don't want to have a conversation. They're above you. They're elites. They're above you. You don't matter.
That is one of the most obvious and immediate ways to determine whether somebody is, as you said, a part of the elite or like has that ivory tower mentality. Do they allow replies on X? That would be question number one. Question number two, are they even on X? And if they're not, if they don't allow replies, or if they're not on there and they've, buggered off to Blue Sky or whatever, then you can pretty much rest at ease. You're dealing with an elitist there. Like you
mean David Cochran?
9 times out of 10,
who left X?
That's
who left
the
X
end
in
of the investigation.
David Cochran from CBC has left X in fanfare. Of
course, he's an ivory towerist. Just look at how fragile he is. That's another sign of being quite elite in your mentality, having a sort of elitist, imperious perspective on the world, as if you're exceedingly tender and fragile and scared of criticism, which I think it's obvious he is. I mean, without any doubt, he is.
Okay, well, we beat that horse. Defund them, stop following them, silence them, tell your friends, neighbors to come here. Somebody said in the comments earlier that they got their, I can't remember, it was their son or one of their family members to come here, and then they shared it with another group. Just share it. Spread us like a virus of truth. Spread us like a virus of truth.
Spread us like the peanut butter of truth.
There you go.
Onto the toast of Canada.
I like that. The other big news, this was going to be our lead story until the Globe and Mail put their hand up and said, no, like, we can show you how to hate. Dear, Trump says the war is officially over. Let's listen to what Mr. Trump has to say.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. Probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing. Stock market's up 1,000 points. That means they like the deal. See, that means they like, if the market goes down, that means they don't like the deal. But it's been up.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So the price of oil, obviously, well, let's continue down this rabbit hole for a second here, as I lost where I was.
People are saying that they couldn't hear that as well, so maybe if we could.
Yeah, we'll ad lib it there.
His main points.
He basically said the war's over. He said the war's over, that they have a deal. They just need to sign it in Europe in the next couple of days at the G7 meeting there. And then he goes on to say later that, like, you can see the price of oil dropping. And right now, the price of oil has dropped. The price of oil is as low as it's been since this war started. It's $84 right now, immediately right now. And the stock market did go up. Not quite, as like some of the media said, he's lying, there's misinformation. The stock market didn't go up 1,000 points. Yeah, it was up 997 points yesterday. It was split hairs, right? It was up 997 points. And then, like obviously he's questioned, like the next slide there, if you put up there, let's actually play this one here. Like, let's play that clip, see if we can hear this volume on this one.
It'll be soon, maybe this weekend.
And has the Supreme Leader approved this deal, sir?
I understand the answer is yes.
And when this deal is signed, is the United States going to immediately lift the blockade?
Yes, that's part of the deal.
And
you'll have oil prices dropping like a rock.
And sir, have you actually secured an agreement on the discussions about the nuclear material and the nuclear negotiations?
Yes, conceptually on that, and
that's good. There's some pushback on
this. He says that. He said all that, and then the Iranians, as has been the case every time, they then pop up and say, "Nah, it's all bollocks.
The next slide.
No, that's right. It's just like it's so.
Right they've said, but like I said, the market seems to agree with Trump. There's something there, like the stock market and oil market.
And they have done since like the first weeks of the war, haven't they? They seem to be really inclined to believe Trump. But we'll see. I don't know. These Iranians, like the Revolutionary Guard, whatever they are, they're particularly intransigent people, aren't they? They're driving such a hard bargain.
Reminds me. Well, the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, when the I think it's Arthur fights the knight there, and he takes off an arm, takes off another arm, takes off his legs, and he's like, "Come back here and fight." He's like, "What are you going to do to me? I'll gnaw your leg." Just like, okay, that's enough, right?
Although, I mean, that knight didn't have control of the Strait of Hormuz, I suppose, so that's slightly different.
Again, I'm going to say I trust the markets more than anything, and the markets say right now, the market right now in oil, again, is $85. And that's the lowest we've seen in a long time. And the stock market is up still, and it was up 997 points yesterday. And the market typically is more honest than the media, because it is basically a consensus. If you think about it, the market is more of a consensus than one media outlet pushing a narrative. So we shall see. Shall we not? But again, the exclamation mark is under energy again and again and again. Energy is all important. Except for if you're a liberal or an NDP member, energy, not so much. And we're going to show you that later as well. But here's Hoekstra. We're going to talk about our Kuzma deal. Here's Hoekstra here on energy.
We've passed regulatory reform, accelerating the permitting and the construction of a pipeline going to Alberta, hopefully meeting up with a pipeline coming south from Alberta so that we can ship more Albertan oil back down to the United States, increasing trade and prosperity for both of our countries.
Now, that pipeline deal there has embarrassed the Carney Liberals to no end because he short run them, like, I mean, an end run or whatever you want to call it. You know, like we've been like, the media's been like playing up this pipeline to the Northwest coast or all these things and playing into Carney's hands. And America says, we can just build another one to the United States. And they fast-tracked it. They literally fast-tracked it. And Smith, of course, is going to say, sure, why not? And that one doesn't, when we had Heather Exton-Perot on, isn't subjected to carbon capture. It's only the one that goes to the Northwest coast that's subject to the carbon capture scheme. So, I mean, if you're Cenovus or Enbridge, which pipeline are you going to build? The one that likely will never get built or face hurdles when you get to the last mile and then you end up in court for the next 10? We're going to show you some evidence of that too. Canada isn't dying of a heart attack. We said that yesterday. It's dying of a slow cancer. An 11-year cancer is killing Canada. We're going to show you that evidence as well. Everything we talk about, we bring the evidence. Don't you worry, it's coming. We got some really good stuff near the end though. It's gonna shock you for sure. Dominic LeBlanc here. Sounds like he should have sounded in the beginning. I mean, why doesn't everybody else just shut up and let Dominic LeBlanc do his job then? Because, I mean, he sounds like a reasonable guy. Go ahead, Dominic.
You mentioned that the new food security strategy would feature a crackdown.
No, that's not it. That's not it. It's this one here.
Carney in a grocery store once again for the second time in his life.
Can you find this one? Is that the wrong one? See if you can find it here. Well, I'll just read. The Canada and U.S. Trade Minister LeBlanc here followed his boss in making a dramatic shift in tone when it comes to the United States, praising the country as a permanent friend, an ally determined by geography and family relations, to explain that Donald Trump is simply keeping his promises on tariffs, coming after Mark Carney's extraordinary recent comment that Canada can make America great again. It represents a new approach from the Liberal Party. I'm going to ad-lib there. It should have been the approach from day one. How many Canadians are suffering because of this nonsense to gain power, which has dedicated much of his energy since Trump's re-election in 2024 to treating the U.S. as an antagonist and a threat to Canada's independence. LeBlanc, speaking at the U.S.-Canada Summit in Toronto, said, bilateral deals between Canada and the U.S. Mexico are also likely adjacent to the trilateral framework. Let's now listen here. I think we have it now.
I remain optimistic. The Prime Minister is prepared to do the work we need to do. And I'll finish with this. We're not waiting for that process as an idle spectator. Right. We have put before the United States, before President Trump, some very specific offers that we think are in the interest of the United States economy and the Canadian economy. The Prime Minister has done that on a number of occasions in the last number of months. I did it in a more technical way with Ambassador Greer. So we'll continue to do that work. But at the same time, we're getting on with building a Canadian economy that's strong and resilient and diversified. Because as the Prime Minister said in New York, and I will finish with this, if we want to be a valuable security and economic partner for the United States, because it's in Canada's interest to be, if we do so from a position of a strong, growing, resilient, diversified economy, building big things again, being open to the world, we'll be a better North American economic partner.
Imagine if that was the tone from day one.
Yeah, if that was the tone from day one, then I'm sure Prime Minister Pierre Poilievre would have an easier job on his hands. But then that's the part that's awkward, isn't it? You wouldn't have the Liberals in government if they hadn't riled up the gullible nationalists, xenophobes, to wave their elbows around. But now that that's achieved, majority has been, acquired one way or another. They've pushed the Americans. They've pushed and pushed and pushed. They've, really solidified their hold on Canada and Canadian institutions. Then the Americans are saying, well, piss off then. If you're going to have that attitude, we're not even going to speak to you. So now all of a sudden it's whoa, we're going to take the exact opposite approach, and we're going to sit there as LeBlanc did and talk about how he's got loads of family in America and he loves America, and talk about Cajuns in Louisiana. I mean, it was a pretty wretched performance. And also saying things like, I couldn't believe, particularly when he said, he was like saying, there are people surprised. They're surprised that Trump's putting all these tariffs on countries. He said he was going to do it and he did it. Maybe people aren't used to politicians keeping their promises. It's just like, come on, mate. Come on. Like, who's buying this? But I guess this is not for us. We're not the audience for this. This is a kind of, this is a kowtow. This is an active submission to the United States. And that's the only audience. People like Jameson Greer, or Jameson Greer's staff, and Howard Lutnick's staff. And then the hope, I guess, is that it will be bumped up and Trump will see it and Trump will get the message that the Canadians are on their knees and they're ready to beg now.
This is capitulation. And it was when Mark Carney said those words, "Make America Great Again." That was the knee. Yeah. That was the knee on the aircraft carrier. Like in the Second World War, when the Japanese took a knee, the emperor took the knee on the aircraft carrier and presented the sword. That was it. Yep. The media here never played that.
Jolie was at this. Jolie was at this event. Jolie, the Queen Gobshite of the Liberal Party, she was there, and she didn't have any nastiness whatsoever to say about Donald Trump.
She had to be probably like 4 sheets to the wind there, just to kind of like bottle down all that whatever she's got going on inside her head. We had Sam Cooper on yesterday, and it was a great interview. Go watch it if you haven't had a chance yet. But and this is his story from today here. A Toronto police officer. I think we broke it while he was on. I think we talked about it. Or we talked about this a little bit while he was on. A Toronto police officer dead. A Toronto jail office official was marked for murder. A Hell's Angel was indicted as Tehran's hired gun inside. Yeah. Toronto police are mourning today after one of their officers killed during a raid linked to a shooting outside a U.S. consulate in March. Mark Penizzato, 43, had served as an officer for 18 years before he was shot Thursday. A 19-year-old man, Zara Hobby, has been identified as one of the suspects, remains at large and considered armed and dangerous. Another 19-year-old suspect, Nicholas Bennett, shot during the incident and set to be charged. The U.S. has linked the shooting in March to a dual Iranian-Iraqi man who has been accused of leading a terror network in Western countries, including Canada. This is all at the feet of Gary and our immigration minister as well.
Well, I mean, it's extraordinary. And if you want context on this, if you want this to represent more of, if you want to make more sense of this than teenagers involved in shootout with the police, if you want it to be a little bit more in depth, read this Sam Cooper. Just go on the bureau, type that into Google, that headline, and just read it. He goes into all the stuff coming out of America, who this guy is, this Iranian Iraqi chap who's associated with some militia in Iraq, which is sponsored by Iran. But it's beyond just Iran. It's like the Mexican cartels and all kinds of gangsters all working together. And it's he links it to that attempt to, although the contract that was put out, $250,000 contract that was put out to behead the former Ontario MPP, Goldie Gamari, I think her name is, isn't it? The Iranian woman who's a critic of the Iranian regime, and just how they're all kind of like in league with one another. And another thing that he highlights, because you look at this, the suspects, both 19 years old, you think, bloody hell, these are just kids. And how part of this operation is, or part of this nexus of crime, is that they get underage, obviously these aren't underage, but they get underage gang members, like basically like child soldiers, to do things like this because they are treated more leniently and given anonymity.
There's less repercussions
under the Canadian legal system.
Yeah. less
Yeah,
consequences.
so they're exploiting that loophole, basically, just like they're exploiting every other loophole in Canada. Canada's the land of the loophole, after all. It's a lot deeper than it seems, and it's also linked to the shootings, or at least one shooting at a synagogue, targeting a Jewish community in Canada. It's organized crime, and it's state actors being involved in that crime, and it's all very, very, very dark and murky, and it's very much like what we were talking to Sam about yesterday. It's like, it's almost it's like The Godfather. It was not even The Godfather. It's worse than that, because The Godfather and they all sort of like Italian mafia in New York. They weren't so much involved, or not. They're not known for being involved with like foreign states and things like that. But it's what a mess.
So go watch the interview with Sam Cooper. The links there: China, Iran, Iraq, Mexico, cartels, gangs. Like, not just gangs, nation-sponsored criminals, organizations, nation-sponsored criminal organizations, and that go as high up as our highest elected officials here in Canada that have connections. It's like a spider web of connections and influence, and many of them influencing Canadian politics. Even Mark Carney himself, they said, why does it seem like the Chinese Communist Party wants you to win the election, is influencing the election to your benefit? He said, I don't know, let's move on. And what did the government-funded media do? Moved on. Sam Cooper doing the work. Sam Cooper putting his life at risk doing this work. Where's the government-funded media, $1.6 billion doing the work? No, they put out press releases for the government. I mean, how hard can it be? Press release comes out of the PMO's office, CBC, almost verbatim. I mean, Ian and I have shown this so many times. And there it is, boom. And we're going to show you some evidence later, smack up there. Yesterday, CTV did a sponsored content piece for Friedland's book. Did I say that? Wow. You get ranty sometimes. My apologies, Christia. Come on the show and hawk your book. That's a free book hawking. We got some questions, though. Here's a piece from the Toronto police chief here.
We are doing everything we can to support them at this difficult time. The investigation that led to the search warrant where Police Constable Mark Benizotto was tragically killed concerned a number of shootings, including a shooting at the United States Consulate on University Avenue. There were several search warrants executed this morning across the Toronto area. It is important to note that there is one outstanding suspect. He is identified as Zara Jabi, 19 years of age. And I would encourage Zara Jabi to turn himself in. We'll have more details.
That's good. Notice under his left shoulder there, who's that? Mayor Chow, right? Mayor Chow. That's her standing right there. Standing there with a linked terrorism attack here in Canada on Canadian soil. At the same time, she does a welcome to the referee from Somalia there that the Americans have identified that has links to terrorist groups. You can't make this stuff up, man. Like, it's like comedy gold. It's not really comedy because somebody's lost their life because of it. But that lady right there, you vote for that. China.
It's like something. I mean, it's like something out of a Le Carre novel or something. It's like something out of a spy movie, isn't it? It makes you. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The things that go on, and it's not exactly behind the scenes. It's very much there in front of our faces, isn't it? It's like on the surface, and all this stuff is going on, and it's kind of. It's a little bit at odds with the Canada that Mark Carney and Melanie Joly keep telling us exists of peace and orderliness and everybody's safe.
Like, common sense says if the American intel says this guy might be linked to terrorism, Canada shouldn't say, well, let's ignore that. The Americans don't know anything. We have a really strong terrorist intel network. Do we? Our country is seen as a point of weakness. That's been identified by many, many experts that we've interviewed. It is identified as a point of weakness. And it's an advertised point of weakness because our Vancouver port, they inspect 3 to 5% of the stuff coming in. And also, it's been said that many of the people working there are involved in criminal organizations. And so they know which ones you're allowed to inspect as well.
I mean, that about the ports, yeah, I mean, talk about Sam Cooper, that is in Willful Blindness as well, where he discusses the port situation. Like, and that's been going on ages, hasn't it? I mean, that wasn't an exclusive of his, I don't think. That goes back quite a way. But that's crazy, isn't it? When you think that's like the main entry and exit for people and goods and anything. Well, maybe not people, but for goods.
Maybe people.
Is the ports. Well, maybe people, yeah, I guess we wouldn't know. Would we? But yeah, to think that that's, you know, some have alleged that those ports are basically in the control of gangsters. Foreign gangsters in some cases. Like, wouldn't that be like, if you were the Prime Minister of this country, wouldn't that be literally number one? Like, oh yeah, foreign gangs control our ports. All right, yeah, I'll deal with that one, man. I'll deal with that one today, actually.
Number one, control the internet, control Canadians' access to the internet, control what people say on the internet, number one, because it makes us look bad when they talk about that. Number two, take their guns away. Have Gary run the program.
Yeah, make sure that, and obviously prop up supply management. Let's pass a law that says that we can't negotiate with other countries about supply management. It's completely off limits. Yeah, that's up there. What else should we do? If people want to read the Bible or the Quran or something like that, and other people find that offensive, then we'll make that hate speech. Yeah. And then there's somebody in the back just like, sir, the ports, foreign gangs control the ports. It's like, who cares?
How do you think we got elected?
We've got to criminalize the Bible.
How do you think we got elected here? Shut up.
Why is he still here? Get him out.
China tells G7 to support openness and cooperation. China tells the G7 to support openness and cooperation. Listen to that sentence. China tells the G7 to support openness and cooperation. I wonder if they have a mirror. Openness and cooperation. Meanwhile, China, widely considered as the most consequential abuser of free trade, has urged the G7 to voice support for free trade. I'm not going to do the name here. You do it. You read the next sentence there.
Vice Premier Zhang Guoqing told the G7 countries, including Canada, on Thursday that all countries should uphold openness and cooperation, adding that they should take an objective view of the comparative advantages of different countries, foster a free and facilitative trading environment.
Just hang on a sec.
And practice
Wait.
multilateralism.
Oh, I was going to say you got to put Anita and Nan there first. Per Anita and Nan, multilateralism. Her word.
Plurilateralism. That's Carney's favorite one, isn't it? But look at this guy. The guy that we're talking about here, Zhang Guoqing. That's him, second from the left. You tell me that is not a face made for the Liberal Party? Look at that. Look at that smug visage. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And he looks like that in all the pictures you see of him. He looks so smug. But this is obviously hilarious, isn't it? This is China telling the world to understand comparative advantage. That's David Ricardo's innovation. British economist and, you know, one of the pioneers of the free market and all that. It's just a piss take. The whole thing is a piss take. He's laughing his head off, as is it's always the case with the Chinese. They're just laughing. I can't believe that they even finish saying these things without bursting out into laughter. Talking about being open and cooperating and all the rest of it. Like, the only reason that anyone's talking about this is because of you, because of China, because you've destroyed openness and cooperation and you've completely undermined international trade to the point where nobody knows which way is up anymore. It's all because of China. and then they come and say, all right, everyone, let's have some free trade. Let's be sensible. I think, what would David Ricardo say?
You got to go back and watch that Sam Cooper interview. I mean, it's, like I said, one of our better interviews for sure. And I do want to say as well, I think we're going to hit 50,000 before this show's over. And that's a milestone for us. And I said into our members, our Thinking Canadians group, that we would give away a Canadian silver maple when we hit 50,000. When we hit 100,000, we're going to give one to the general thing. But to our Thinking Canadians at 50,000, we're not going to do a show today. We're going to try and do a show when we don't have interviews and on a Friday. We have an interview today. I want to mention to people, we have Aaron Pete from Stitka Media here that's going to join us at 1 o'clock. Ian has to duck out. He's got somewhere he has to go. So it'll be myself with Aaron Pete. And we're going to talk a lot about the residential schools and the unmarked graves and all kinds of stuff. And again, so we'll likely do the giveaway to Thinking Canadians on one of the lucky people that has been a member here is going to get a silver maple. It's worth over $100 now, I believe, a full ounce of Canadian silver. And we do thank everybody that's even got us this far here, like 49,983 right now. So if you're not subscribed yet, see if you can make it to lucky 50. See if you can be the one that pushes us over the edge here. That would be appreciated as well. I mean, we work hard at this for sure. We're here every morning at 9 a.m. PST. Bring some friends. Show this on the weekends. Show that interview with Sam Cooper. The more people that read this or that watch this, the more that we can wake Canadians up and we can go with a message of a better tomorrow as opposed to a message of hate. The politics of hate should not win out in Canada. The politics of hate should not win out. People like Alexandria or Cortez, whatever her name is, AOC, Cortez, they shouldn't win the day. They shouldn't not win the day. I had an argument with ChatGPT as I was driving, Grok as I was driving home yesterday. And I was saying, like, is the Democratic Party in the United States lost its way? And we were having this discussion. And I said, what about, what has the Democrats done in 4 years? And, asked about the border. And she says, well, critics would say that the Biden administration didn't do a good job on the border. I said, critics? You mean the facts? The facts says that. That's not critics. Facts. Facts said that. Like, come on. And she's like, oh, you're right, facts. I said, why did you say critics would say? Like, it's almost like it's debatable. The facts said that. Anyway, I ranted a little bit there, but leading us into our next segment, because hey, drive your country into the poorhouse and then offer up some grocery benefits. And here's another one of these programs that in a nation as rich as Canada, it's an embarrassment to be doing this, but hey, why not?
This morning, unfortunately, a Toronto police
that's
officer
not
was killed.
That's try the next clip there. I think that's where they got mixed up, or is that one from up top there?
At the new food security strategy would feature a crackdown on surveillance pricing.
Yeah.
What would that look like?
Well, thank you for that. This is an important thing because we signaled last week with our AI strategy. It's one of the reasons I made a reference to the AI strategy, because one thing we will be doing with that is updating the privacy legislation, the federal privacy legislation, and effectively we made the commitment in the AI strategy that we're going to protect your privacy, your children, and your data. And this is part of protecting your data and how your data is used. And surveillance pricing is an example of using data in a way that can be adverse to the interests of Canadians. And so whereas consumer protection, to get constitutional about it, is a provincial responsibility, privacy and the regulations and the laws around privacy, a federal responsibility. So that's how we will do it. We will the House is still, Parliament is still in session, and at the appropriate time, ideally before the end of the month, we will be tabling legislation to that effect. It will have other aspects in the legislation, but it will have this impact.
Clear as mud. Mark Carney, apparently not satisfied declaring Canada an energy superpower, has now declared the country an agricultural superpower. Speaking in Toronto, the Prime Minister pledged $3 billion of taxpayer cash that he said he would help make groceries cheaper in the long run, including encouraging the building of greenhouses to expand the year-round domestic production of fruit and vegetables. We're an agricultural superpower. Yet for most Canadians, it doesn't feel like that at the checkout counter. Get out of the way. Allow competition. You have oligopolies here. Go ahead.
He even used those words. I just thought it was quite funny that you said that. Because he even said, we need to get out of our own way.
But here it is, getting in the way. It's like, we need to get out of the way. But here I am getting in the way. We had the food professor on. There's a company in Canada that was trying to get its food to market. And I think it was 2 years and weren't getting anywhere. They went to the United States, and I think he said they were in, I'm going to get these numbers wrong, 20 states in 4 weeks. We are our own worst enemies. Regulation, strangulation by regulation. That's the t-shirt Mark Carney should walk around with. Strangulation by regulation. And a few crumbs so I can stand at the podium. And here's the food professor with a reaction. A food strategy requires a clear vision, measurable objectives, and a long-term commitment. What Ottawa has unveiled is better described as a collection of investments. The numbers tell the story. Canada's new plan amounts to roughly $320 million annually, or about just under $8 per Canadian. For comparison, even excluding SNAP and other nutritional programs, the U.S. spends about $75 to $100 a person U.S. annually on agriculture, crop insurance, conservation, rural development, competitiveness. It's just again virtue signaling and just nonsense, just utter nonsense, right? Get out of the way. Open the door to American competition. Allow the grocery stores to come up here. It's an obvious fact. The Americans' prices are lower because they have competition. Kill supply management. The price of chicken, we showed you that the other day. $5 US, $13 Canadian. The same chicken, because the chicken came from the United States. The chicken that you bought from the United States had a tariff on it. Supply management tariff. How did that taste when you're cutting that up? When you're cutting that chicken up there, you're going in there just like, oh, this piece of tariff tastes so good. Hey?
This elbow tastes so strong. No, but it is annoying, and I sort of agree. Obviously, he knows way more about this sort of stuff than I do, or basically anybody else does. Sylvain Charlevoix here, the food professor. But I agree with what he's saying there, where he says, like, get some things right, but it's not a strategy. Yeah, it was very nice to hear the Prime Minister of Canada talking about greenhouses and hydroponics and stuff like that. But what does that, what does it take to have these greenhouses and hydroponic facilities and all this? Energy. That's basically
I was going to say, can I answer?
Yeah, it's just energy. So
why do you need energy in a greenhouse in the winter here in Canada? Why?
Yeah, who could possibly guess? But it's this is another one of those things. This is why I'm pro energy. This is why you're pro energy. If you've got so much energy that you don't know what to do with it, you can just have infinity greenhouses. You can literally just do that. And then in places like Iqaluit, they could have more vegetables and cheaper vegetables than people in Florida. Theoretically, that's possible with massively abundant energy, because energy is like the only cost, really. So it was nice to hear him say that, but it's kind of like the next sentence should be, yeah, and that's why we're just going to go absolutely all in on energy of all kinds. We're going to go crazy on energy, guys. Everything. Coal, wind, you name it. We're doing it. We're doing everything. All the natural gas. But alas, that isn't what he's doing. He still wants to kind of keep his foot on the hose and prevent energy coming to fruition, energy projects. And he wants to sort of direct it and be a micromanager when it comes to Canada's energy system. And you look at that and you think, all right, well, we're never going to have these greenhouses then. Or they're going to be a minority pursuit.
I hear David Eby picked up the phone and said, will those greenhouses support a windmill on top of the roof there? The answer is no.
Or will they all be like Indigenous owned? 51% Indigenous owned, 49% owned by Liberal Party insiders. Like, that's the only way that we're going to
Government
facilitate
funded, government funded, yeah. You pay for it, and then you can pay extra for the fruit and vegetables that's grown in it. That'll be pumped full of. Anyway, here's another clip from.
The market is not the consideration. The political and social status quo. That's the priority.
Yeah.
It's not prices of groceries. It's not food security. All of that is secondary. The primary consideration is, how does this help entrench the status quo, which has the Liberal Party as its kind of natural king? How can we entrench this system? And every single announcement reveals that, I think, in more depth.
We're 7 away from 50,000, so who wants to take it over the line? Just hit that button, man. Just hit that button.
Exciting.
You're going to play this one here. Listen to how servile the media is. Listen to this. Globe and Mail people and the rest are the same.
It's CBC.
I know, but I'm just saying they're the same. Listen to this, though.
Yeah.
Lord and Master, listen up.
A yes or no question. Do you believe that...
There are no yes or no questions.
Sorry. do you believe that the situation with the bridge is a way for Trump to pressure Canada in negotiations?
No, look, the issues that have been raised by the U.S. Administration as a whole.
Yeah, who cares? Does Trump get
Wasn't
that?
that amazing? I could not believe that. There's another thing as well, which I didn't include, but so that was her second question. The first question that she asked was, I can't remember word for word, but it was something like, I've got some more questions about the bridge, if you don't mind.
If you don't mind, eh?
My lord. and then he does mind. He does bloody mind. Look at him. He minds. And he's like, there are no yes or no questions. There are no yes or no questions. Have you tried that? Have you tried that in a court of law, you turd? Like, of course there are. Of course there are yes or no questions, yes or no answers. I mean...
Well, they do it with Trump all the time. Hey,
Is your head on fire? Is your head on fire right now? That's a yes or no answer, isn't it?
They do it with Trump all the time. They do it with Poilievre all the time. And they scream at him if he dares try to answer without a yes or no. I asked for a yes or no, right? But...
No, I mean,
we'll learn. We'll learn.
Have a laugh, don't we? We try to talk about this, but that was really sickening. I don't know if we want to play it again, just really think about what's happening here. The Prime Minister, the most powerful person in Canada, whose decisions affect all of our lives, in many cases, in profoundly negative ways, seriously negative ways, loss of livelihood, loss of life even. This is a man with a huge amount of power. And then the press exist, theoretically, to hold that person to account. To say, why didn't you do this? When are you going to do this? Why are people being killed here? Why can people not eat enough food? That's supposed to be the relationship. And then just have another little watch.
Let's go one more time.
And a yes or no question. Do you believe that...
There are no yes or no questions.
Sorry. Do you believe that...
Sorry. No.
There you go, Canada. Just keep funding the media and let the Liberals just hold the noose on them. And this is what you'll get, a servile media that does not hold government to account. And the other day, remember we had that one French reporter yell something out and he gave her that look. I think we may even have it later on.
Yeah. But I'd also say a lot of people as well, I think most people watching this video will already know this. I'm preaching to the choir. but expand your horizons when it comes to democracy and media and whatnot. Watch, Jim mentioned the US. Watch in Britain. Watch in Ireland. Watch in France. Like, watch how other democracies do this exact thing, and see if you can find any examples of this kind of incestuousness and timidity on the part of reporters, where reporters say sorry to the Prime Minister after the Prime Minister takes the piss out of the reporter. It's like, sorry, my lord. See if you can see that anyway, because I've never seen it. It's unique to Canada. It's a real Canadian original that is absolutely indigenous to this country. I've never seen it anywhere else, at least not in a democracy.
Mr. Carney, Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, we invite you on this show. We promise to giggle and act like gleeful idiots while we ask tough questions. We will giggle while we ask. We will ask like, why are most of your investments in the United States of America? Well, you ask Canadians to invest here in Canada. Is that right? Is that how we do it?
My lord. Oh, you're looking so good. I mean, you're so eloquent, smart. Values was great. The Davos speech. But, just a simple question here. Why did you take Michael Ma to Beijing after he disgraced himself and trotted out lines of the Chinese Communist Party? Why didn't you investigate that? Why did you fire him?
Do the giggle after, though, because if you don't do the giggle, it'll seem harmful.
It turned into an angry giggle.
A maniacal giggle?
Yeah.
Oh, my. Okay. Let's play this clip here from the House of Commons.
Speaker, for the last 45 minutes, Canadians watching at home know that this is not answer period. They don't have a single answer, and their ministers are out of their depth. Some were reading off their cell phones, and the president of the Treasury Board is still flipping through his binder, looking for the answer to the question. But this is serious. Canadians at home are going hungry. Seniors are living on the side of the highway because they can't afford a home. When will this government reverse its disastrous policies that got us here in the first place?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, if you call feeding hungry kids disastrous policy, I'd like to introduce that member to some parents and indeed some kids in my riding in the town of Marathon. If you'd like to talk about people who are fighting against Canadians, if you'd like to talk about disastrous policy would be pulling out the safety nets that this government has worked hard to put there for Canadians. When Canadians
Okay. They will not take anything serious. They don't take anything serious. They have no recognition that 11 years of these policies have led us to this point where Canadians are living in their cars, record numbers at food bank lineups, 11%, over 11% now below the poverty line, high unemployment or youth unemployment in some areas of Canada at banging on the door of 20%. $1 trillion investment left. I mean, I could go on and on and on. They just want to own up to it. And trotting out these policies of this groceries and essential renamed GST credit, and then now this grocery thing, when the obvious answers are there. The obvious answer is unleash the beast, get energy going. Ian talks about that, just talked about that earlier. That's obvious answer one. The grocery thing, open the doors to American competition, let them in. Get rid of supply management, would drop food prices immediately, drop the industrial carbon tax, drop the plastics ban, and cut all fuel taxes until this economy is back on solid footing. And kill all these pork belly projects like Alto. Take that money out of Alto and put it into investment in energy, because that's our path forward, energy. Anyway. Do you want an evidence of this cancer that's killed Canada over the last 11 years? It's not just the Liberals, it's the NDP and the Liberals. Strangulation by regulation. Look at this one, and we talked about it yesterday. A proposed gold mine on BC's fast track list, listen to that, has been in the works for 15 years already. 15 years. 15 years. Already spent $1.4 billion. The company signed benefit agreements with 2 First Nations and was ready to move forward. But the court now says, there's a third Indigenous group that didn't get consulted, so they're going to want this paused while they get a chance to look at it. So the BC Supreme Court, this is from the Vancouver Sun, has ruled that a regulatory decision allowing the $5.3 million KSM gold mine must be revisited because the First Nation wasn't adequately consulted. This First Nation group, it's like there's 60 people in this group, right? And if the project is determined not to be substantially started, it must restart its whole environmental assessment, which takes forever, right? So here's wealth sitting there, being blocked now. Being blocked because there's another First Nations group which has 60 members that said it wasn't consulted, even though they made deals with 2 other First Nations groups.
Just not serious, is it? I'm, take out BC, take out Canada, and just imagine reading this. Imagine reading like a fictionalized version of this. You would just laugh, wouldn't you? You just say, that's not a serious country. It's complete frivolity, isn't it? It is absurd, absolutely absurd. And this is the sort of heart of the problem. And yet, this is not getting fixed. The Major Projects Office can't fix this, isn't going to fix this. This is outside of the remit of C5.
And I've invested in Seabridge before. I don't own any Seabridge right now, but here's the stock chart, and this is what I'm telling you. See that little thing at the end there on the far right? That's when that decision comes down, the stock drops off, right? Because you just kiboshed that deal. And now it could be 5-10 years, add another 5-10 years. What is the executive, when you're in the executive in the boardroom there with Seabridge? They're saying Canada's not investable. We spent like tons of time and energy, and now we're back at the drawing table. And if we have to do our environmental assessment over again, this kibosh, we can go to Nevada. We can go to Mexico. We can go to Alaska, and we can get stuff done. This is the cancer that's killed Canada. This is it. This is what's choking Canada. This is choking Canada. Frontier, the Frontier project in the tar sands there. They don't like to use the word tar. Oil sands there in Alberta. They spent over $1 billion too. And then they said in their press release, you can go read it, it's still there on the internet. It lives forever. They said the Liberal government has made it impossible to move this project forward. It's right there.
But it's like we've almost done it by accident here, but we've like talked through the most serious diseases that afflict the Canadian economy and Canadian society. We talk about food, and then we talk about strangulation of energy and supply management, things like that. Now here we are talking about major, like wealth, basically, the economy, full stop. And it's the same old problems. Like these problems they're not particularly hard to diagnose. You don't need
there.
like
it's right there. It's the stock chart tells you what it is.
Yeah, it's right there. And yet it's been that way forever. And we'll go to sleep and wake up tomorrow, and it'll still be the same tomorrow.
But they'll stand at the podium and they'll tell you that they're looking after the Canadians. I talked to my mother; she said everything's going to be okay, because they're filling their pockets at the same time. They're going to be okay. I guarantee you, they're going to be okay. You're not. And here it is from the Financial Post.
Charles MacDonald, by the way. A real hero, long time friend of the show, Charles MacDonald.
And here it is, the Financial Post. If you go read this article, it'll say recession, no recession, whatever. Like, who cares? Who cares? You know what I mean? If you want to debate it, CBC, if you want to argue about it, the bigger problem is what Ian and I are talking about. That our economy has just not had a bad couple of quarters. It's faltered for a decade, 11 years, because of weak business investment, because of because of failed liberal policies, failed ideologies. And then they've used politics of division, politics of hate. That's our headline, politics of hate. Freeland said it herself. Justin Trudeau wasted a decade, not just Justin Freeland, you too, wasted a decade on virtue signaling and identity politics. And Justin said he did it because it works. And now look at Justin there with Katy Perry, caressing her, whatever, like a pig in public, the feminist. And these are the people that many people put up on an altar, including the CBC and the Globe and Mail. They put them up on an altar there and said, these are our leaders. The major economic problem facing the country. That's the major problem facing the economic country of the country. It's policy. It's leadership. It's policy. Failure of leadership. I think that was in our headline, like what, 4 or 5 months ago? Failure of leadership. It's in British Columbia as well.
And it's this barnacle obsession with the status quo and this attempt to just maintain it forever, the sort of political settlement, let's call it, in Canada. And the reason is because too many people are getting what they want from it. They're getting their pound of flesh from it, aren't they? And so they just want to sit there. The Liberals can administer it, and the rest of us just have to suffer, and the economy stagnates. And you know, these obvious problems are not solved. The obstacles are not moved out of the way, because that's kind of part of that is the system. They're there for a reason. They are the point. That's like what this system is for, basically, isn't it? Is for the stakeholders in the status quo who have quite a good deal.
I just want to take a moment here and say 50,001 subscribers now. So that is one of our mile markers that we were shooting for. So high fives to everybody, the Desert Fox, Andrea, Ian, and all of you actually that make this happen. Our next mile marker is 100,000 and then on and beyond. Ian and I are seriously, we've talked to some of our senior team here. We're going to go to Washington. We're going to prove to this country that we can access the White House briefing room before we can get into the parliamentary gallery. That is an embarrassment on the nth level. We told that to Sam Cooper. He said, that's a cool idea, actually, right?
And we'll call it Mr. Check Goes to Washington.
We'll call it
starring Jimmy Stewart.
The Checky Burns. The Check It Out Burns. Anyway.
We'll do Check/Burns, like the Frost Nixon thing.
There you go. The Watergate scandal. It'll be the really big show. Exposes Canada for what it is, a dystopian democracy, the pretending to be a democracy with a free and independent media. Again, thank you to every one of you, every 50,001 of you. We really appreciate that. We really do. Because for us, this is how we make our shekels, is by here showing up every day and putting you first. Putting you first. And I hope the message is there's some of you that come every day, and we really appreciate the ones that come every day. The ones in blue that are doing the hard work too, moderating. Thank you for everything. We've had Richard Diaz on, and he's got it right as well. These people don't get it and never will. Canada's affordability problem is a productivity problem. Strangulation by regulation. Unleash the beast. And then the food professor, so about the Bank of Canada, they acknowledged the 2026 forecast. They said they would avoid a recession. Where's Tiff with the information that we have here? Because Tiff can see it. Come on, Tiff, you know what Ian and I are talking about is absolutely the gospel. You know it, Tiff. Why don't you just say what it is? Why are you so scared? Because I've heard you say before, well, it's been the last 15 years. No. Come on. You're trying to be nonpartisan by trying to drag Harper into it. We had the highest middle class in the world when Harper left. We sold Canada's future out for a pair of socks and curly hair. And what did that get us? Right? Right now, that curly-haired sock boy is there caressing somebody's butt on on like for the world, acting like a pig. The feminist. Everything he pretended to be is just that. He's just a drama teacher.
Yeah. Who was, again, another plug for Sam Cooper's book, Willful Blindness. When you're reading about the Vancouver model and all of the like gang craziness going on in Vancouver in the 90s and early 2000s, he just points out, Sam Cooper, that Justin Trudeau was there then in Vancouver. He's a teacher at that point. Just chilling out. Just the side guy.
Just waiting for the call. Just waiting from the call from the WF. You're in.
Yep. You're exactly what we need to solve problems like this.
Don Davies. Listen to this. This is the NDP. Instead of celebrating a guy like Elon Musk today, this is Don Davies. This is part of the problem right here. This is why oil companies and other companies avoid Canada. Listen.
Oil companies are set to make some $90 billion in profits this year as a result of the attack on Iran. Why won't this government tax those excess profits?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Chair, in fact, my colleague is right. I mean, if you take it in the word of the Executive Director of the International Energy Agency, we're going to the most severe energy crisis that we have ever seen. So obviously the price at the pump in Canada is affected by global events, but we're happy.
Member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Oil companies are...
I didn't know.
How was that an answer?
I don't know. Kermit is killing it in there. Ay.
And he had a really long collar as well, isn't it? Yeah, as the Mr. Speaker will know, my collar is 8 inches. That is how we do it in Quebec. By the people talking about Trudeau in Vancouver, he was at a really fancy school, wasn't he? A really fancy private school, which was a school that was, some of the gangsters that Sam Cooper talks about. They sent their kids there.
Why not?
Interesting. So he even taught their kids. But yeah, it is. I just find that funny that he was chilling out in Vancouver. How amazing is it that he converted that into being the Prime Minister just on raw talent?
Raw talent, yeah. Like I said, ring ring. Hello, it's Klaus. It's Klaus. We got an opening. I wish to penetrate you. Oh my God. This one's good here. The Bellman.
Such an aggressive verb, isn't it? It's a violent verb.
Ben Mulrooney. We should try to get Ben on the show. I don't know if he'd be allowed to because he works for one of the. I don't know how he works there because he seems like a decent chap. How do you work there, Ben? Explain it to us.
Global. He had his own thing going on now.
He's on Global, I think, still.
Is he still at Global?
Pretty sure. Elizabeth May says she's stepping down.
How many times she said that now?
Hey, na 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 na. Hey, goodbye.
Ben Mulrooney here saying this will be fun. Yeah, he's right there, isn't he? It is going to be fun. The leadership race, assuming Elizabeth May does actually leave and doesn't just, stay put as she seems to be inclined to do, based on past behaviour. But yeah, it's going to be hilarious. Like if we thought Cornelius was funny, Cornelius the farm guy in the last one, the NDP race. This one's going to be absolutely hilarious.
Bonkers.
You're going to get some amazing content, and I, for one, can't
already.
Wait.
A Gibby might run. Gibby might go for it.
God knows, yeah. But there'll be some absolute maniacs, like Greta Thunberg style freaks, I'm sure. And I just love it. I live for it.
Anyway, just putting up this chart one more time, showing you Dougie into the basement. And then even a new Angus Reid thing that the Carn Dog himself is slipping from grace. The think tanks found a third straight decline in approval as a prime minister among voters. Though his rating still remains high at 55%, the gap between Carney's approval and Cher, who believe he's on the right track, just 31%, points to a deeper unease in the country's direction. I don't even know how he's even above water. Like, I mean, to me, if you can't put food on the table, look to the policies. Look to 11 years of failure. 11 years of failure. Like, come on. And no change. Where's the pipeline? Where's the movement on the pipeline? Like I said, Hoekstra stood up there at the beginning of the show here. Hoekstra stood up there and embarrassed you by getting a pipeline. That one's going to flow oil before Canada even talks about, because I mean, the oil companies right now are saying, like, get rid of the carbon capture thing or forget it, which is what Ian and I have been saying forever. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Look at the price of oil. It's already dropped. And you heard it here first on this show, that the kind of like the natural level for oil after this Iran thing goes away, or Iran thing goes away, it's going to be in the $50 to $60 range, which puts Alberta oil at just around their break-even point. So you can't add
dangerously close.
You can't add $15 of carbon capture on top of it, because there is nobody that's going to pay for it. There's no secret buyers, Melanie. You clown.
If you think of Alberta as the weightlifter trying to bench some weights, Mark Carney's the spotter, and he just keeps adding more and more weight. It's like
him and Francois and Melanie are leaning on the bar, just like, what's the matter with you?
She's just like sitting on it.
What's the matter with you? Come on, push.
But somebody said something. Hold on. Somebody said, question for Ian: has Carney ever faced the UK media? Yeah, he did a lot of interviews with the UK media, but it was because he was the Bank of England governor. It's not the same as a politician's interview. It's not quite as rough, but yes, he did do lots of media in the UK. And then our dear treasured friend, Global Traveller, said something. Okay, said Musk is a Canadian now. He stopped there for 5 minutes when he fled South Africa because his mother was there. It was a bit more than 5 minutes, and he did go to university there as well. And when I did say the words, he is a Canadian, but that's because he is a Canadian. He's got Canadian citizenship, hasn't he? To my knowledge, he hasn't lost that nationality. Therefore,
well, yeah, they want to deport him.
He's a Canadian.
AOC has been trying to deport him forever. Nut job.
It's funny, the things that infuriate our Mr. Traveller, our good friend, you can never guess what's going to wind him up. But that's upsetting.
Rail and port workers would lose the right to strike under proposal yesterday by the Senate Transport Committee. Patty Hadou don't like strikes. They support unions, though, but they don't like strikes. The status quo is not a viable option, wrote the Liberal-dominated panel. Witnesses as labor disputes in federally regulated rail and marine sectors were causing harm to the Canadian economy, disrupting supply chain and tarnishing Canada's reputation abroad. I'm afraid you're doing that. You're doing that. I just want to refer back to that mining decision there. Shall we refer back to some of the oil and gas ones? Shall we refer back to many, many of the industry ones and see who's tarnishing what? So there you go. That's what they think about you. That's what they think about you. That's what really that story is about. What they think about you.
Could these strikers not afford better graphic design than that? State of that banner. Who would choose that font? And not to mention the pink and black.
Yeah. And this one here, just on the Liberal EV mandate, now Honda saying, let's play the clip here anyway. Why not?
Secondly, rather than scrapping the damaging EV mandate, the Liberals have effectively reintroduced it under a different framework. The new standards will pressure the Canadian manufacturers to produce 75% EVs by 2035, which is only a modest change from the previous 100% requirement under the original EV mandate. Conservatives have long warned that forcing 100% EV sales by 2035, while EVs still represent a minority of our market, was unrealistic and created prolonged uncertainty for manufacturers and workers making long-term investment decisions. For example, in Q3 of 2025, fewer than 10% of newly registered vehicles in Canada were zero emission. Delays in abandoning this original Liberal EV mandate left uncertainty and have really left the sector in limbo, and jobs were lost and confidence was eroded in the Canadian auto manufacturing sector. The Standing Committee on Industry and Technology heard clearly that the original
that's I don't know, like, again, this is the one where it's like, it's like you want to write it on the blackboard with your fingernails, just screech it in there and make them listen to it. Drop the EV mandate. Maybe they'll listen to them as you scratch it in the blackboard. Maybe you didn't grow up with that, but you scratch a blackboard and just about drives you like, yeah. Maybe they would just get the understanding that you're killing the auto sector. Again, they just go against the information. It's right there. It's like absolutely right there. Why don't they get it? Obviously, it's they do get it. They just don't care about the truth, and they push against the truth. And the media, the subservient media, helps them. Because if this media, if it was Ian and I pushing this message out every day, it wouldn't last very long, would it? Because we'd be saying, drop the EV mandate, drop the EV mandate, drop the EV mandate, because you're killing the auto sector. But no, that's not what they do. They run actually promo pieces. The CBC has, I think, 3 or 4 of them, promoting Chinese EVs. Sam Cooper talked about that too. They actually have an agreement with the CBC and the Chinese reporters. They're promoting, they're doing sponsored content pieces on Chinese EVs and pushing that into Canada.
They're also very good with their amnesia, aren't they? Because as we were talking about Michael Maher yesterday, like that enormous scandal. How many times have we talked about Chrystia Freeland? That's another scandal. The stink is still in the room from that Chrystia Freeland scandal. How she tried to, the Liberal Party, and she tried to have a situation where she worked for a foreign government at the highest level and also was an MP. They tried to see if they could get away with that. And then it didn't work out, so she resigned and said, I was always going to do this. And then was given a massive amount of money to go to Ukraine. And while also being in Oxford, weirdly. I mean, that's an enormous scandal. She was never interviewed about that. There was never any conversation with anybody that was willing to sort of scrutinize it. I mean, how many other scandals? And then there's this thing, this switcheroo, where the EV mandate was becoming impossible to sustain. So they just
renamed it.
They just did a switcheroo. Just like the carbon tax as well, where they did a bit of a switcheroo. It's like, okay, well, we'll take 2 apples from this side of the scale and we'll just put them over here. And then it's not like the media is going to notice.
Actually, make them worse, actually, right? Because it's just like, here's the clean fuel regulations plus the industrial carbon tax, plus carbon capture, right? Just like, so plus. Nice. You had carbon capture before. Look what you won. But hey, as what's Julie say? What's the industrial carbon tax do to
studies show that the
Canadian
industrial
prices?
carbon price adds
Doesn't
zero.
that much effect, according to Julie. Julie is officially dumber than AOC. Sorry, Julie.
Yeah. I mean, AOC has some redeeming qualities, I would say, unlike our dear Julie.
While we're on Chinese EVs, let's ask a question about forced labor.
And said that your government would be tabling a bill to stop the import of goods made with forced labor.
Yes.
This was not part of your platform when you were running for office, and you previously stated that you thought Canada has strong safeguards to bar goods made with forced labor. Is this being made a priority amidst discussions with President Trump around CUSMA?
So I would say the following. Yeah, I mean, there are some things we didn't. The platform had a lot of foresight, but it didn't have total foresight. For example, the issue you just discussed, you raised on surveillance pricing was not in the platform. On forced labor, we have very strong legal, a very strong framework and responsibilities, legal framework and standards and responsibilities. We've been less effective, once coming into government, at least in my view, we've been less effective in fully enforcing those, and some of that relates to how the responsibilities are structured legally. Some of it relates to resources. So, for example, I'll give you an example, which was a decision we made a few months ago, is we eliminated something called the core, which was an ombudsman role, which was partly to enforce on forced labor, but that role had only had one investigation in 7 years. And so we looked at this as a government. Part of government is to look at things and see whether or not they're effective and try to improve it. So the legislation that Minister Anand is referring to and the steps that we would take around that are part of just being more effective in what we're implementing. Final point, I would just note that under the U.S. 301 actions, trade actions or proposed trade actions that which relate to forced labor and judgments, the 85% of our trade, the CUSMA carve-out, has been maintained as part of that. But look, we share the objectives of the United States with respect to eliminate. Canadians don't want goods, services that are the product of forced labor or child labor, so we're going to take additional steps to make sure that's the case.
Thank you. Next question.
I thought I was at a graduation ceremony there, and he was just saying things that you can't hear anymore because you don't want to understand because you've fallen asleep like 10 minutes ago. And he just goes on and on and on. And in his mind, I think he's saying, how do I not offend China in this? So I'll just keep talking and saying things that, I'll explain, but I won't explain, but I will explain a little bit of the explanation that it's in there, but it's not in there. If you just look over here,
it's really tragic, isn't it? Especially when you think that job, to a pretty big extent, that job is communication, isn't it? That's what you got to do. You're the communicator in chief.
Well, he's got the media baffled because they're just like, okay, yeah, got it. What did you get out of that? What did you get out of that? What did you get? What answer did you get out of that?
Yeah.
Other than we've had one case. We've had one case in, what did he say, 5 years in the Ombudsman? Complete failure. Write that down. Complete failure of investigation. So we rely on the Americans to tell us when we're screwing up. That's what it should say.
Yeah. But, this is just another example anyway of the Liberals now sort of trying to get on their knees for the Americans, really, trying to beg their way back in, because this is just about America, isn't it? Really, it's similar to the as CBC Watcher says, as on fentanyl. It's the same thing as the fentanyl, where the initial reaction is, oh, we're great with fentanyl, and then all of a sudden it's, he's a fentanyl czar, he's loads of money, he's extra helicopters, extra officers, we're gonna do it. And same with forced labor, where it's like 1 minute they're saying, what forced labor? Have you seen it with your eyes? We condemn forced labor everywhere. Now it's, oh yeah, we're gonna go really hard against forced labor. It's like, yeah, okay. The Americans, do the Americans actually derive any satisfaction from this? This is like bullying the smallest kid in school.
The stupid kid.
Are you getting any satisfaction?
It's that kid that is like the annoying kid that just says nonsensical things, and you almost feel bad for the kid. Because you're just like, stop bullying that kid because he's just not there. But it's, it's the population.
It's like, he just begs every time. Don't do it. Don't make him do it again. Don't make him kiss your shoes.
This is our head of AI. Elon Musk today is the world's first trillionaire, is launching rockets into space. This man right here says Canada leads in AI. He said that. Canada leads in AI. This is Evan Solomon, the failed journalist, fired. Imagine getting fired from the most corrupt news organizations in the world. He got fired from there. And then he became an art dealer. Well, he was the art dealer, that's why he got fired, for Mark Carney. And then he went to work for Diana Fox Carney there at Eurasia Group. And then he got the call, just like Justy got the call. Hey, it's a W. Klaus is calling. We need you. We need you on the front bench here. Now he's head of AI. Can you imagine that? Watch him perform here. We showed you Elon launching rockets. This is the head of AI in Canada.
Started. So this is it. So we have 10 minutes to vote, and this is what it is. And then we can stop this silliness I'd rather stop this democracy. Just got to make sure I know what.
No, go ahead. Stop the democracy. That's what he said. Nice. Keep going.
The vote is. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. We got to check. It's a yay. It's a yay.
Awesome.
It does matter.
Stop again.
It does matter.
So he hasn't even voted yet, and it's a yay. How does he know it's a yay? He hasn't even voted yet. But hey.
Because he's been told. He knows. He's been whipped. That is literally the verb. that they use in politics. Whipped.
Let's keep going. Let's watch him in action.
So this is your vote, and then there's a digital camera. So you have to do this. We have a backup system here. Again, I know this seems theatrical, but literally it's happening right now. Fatini, can you just do your thing?
No, I'll just sit here and look at
This
you.
is democracy. Facial encryption. Test your face. And that says try that again. Oh, is that true? Okay. Holy sh! Okay, look at. Let's see. Thank God I got a coach. If the Minister of AI can't get this right, then there's a real issue. Okay, I'm going to do it against a really solid background, because obviously this light is not working. So hold on. I mean, this is. We've already burned through our time here. Yes. Submit. Okay. Submit.
That last message was for you, Canada. Submit.
Indeed.
I forgot to say when Mark Carney was talking about how we're protecting Canadian privacy at the grocery store. In the meantime, Mark Miller is there. Is like, open your phone. Open the phone, old man. We need to see what's inside it.
No, that's not pleasant viewing, is it? If you want a sort of a very, very short video to show you just how incestuous Canadian politics, business, and media are. Look at that. The guy who, as you just pointed out, worked for Eurasia Group, which is sponsoring this event, as you can see behind, the words Eurasia Group, which is the organization for which the Prime Minister's wife works. And is linked to the Liberal Party in various ways. Then you got the Liberal Party here giggling, joking about voting for something that they don't even understand, know anything about. Just like, just do it. And then
stop democracy, he says.
To a media, or whatever that is, or whoever that woman is, just like giggling, can't stop giggling, can't stop laughing. And it's just like, it is a massive laugh, isn't it? If you're inside of the of the clique,
in the big tent,
you're inside of the patronage network, it's funny, isn't it? It's funny as hell.
Because money flows.
If you're wondering why average Canadians aren't too pleased, it's because we're not in that network. We can't even imagine what that's like.
You're funding it. You're funding it, though. And we're going to show you that. Here it is. Here's the biggest funding yet. This is the big pig. This is the pig to meet all pigs. Alto pig. The alto pig. The pig of pigs. And this is Francois Philippe Champagne about his wife's role. Listen to Francois on the next one there. Play the clip here from Francois Philippe Champagne.
I am here today to describe the measures that my team and I have taken to prevent any potential conflicts of interest regarding the Federal Crown Corporation responsible for developing the high-speed rail project. Earlier this year, news reports suggested that someone close to me had been hired as an employee of this Crown Corporation, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Government of Canada and reports to the Parliament of Canada through the Minister of Transport. However, the relevant facts date back well before the publication of these articles. On July 3rd, 2025, the Office of the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner was informed that someone close to me had received a job offer from the aforementioned Crown Corporation. I then contacted the office directly and was told that no risk of a conflict of interest arose from the circumstances in question. Several months later, further exchanges with the office confirmed this same conclusion. Despite these repeated confirmation that no conflict of interest existed and that no screen was required, I nevertheless chose, out of an abundance of caution, to implement and maintain an ethics screen to avoid any appearance of a conflict of interest and to assure Canadians of the integrity of the decision-making process, as evidenced by the letter dated September 10th, 2025, a copy of which was duly sent to the Office of the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner.
It's in that committee meeting. He also expressed indignation over criticism of his wife's hiring by a Crown corporation seeking budget concessions. And he said, "I'm an honorable member of this House, not you," he told one of the MPs questioning him in the Ethics Committee.
That's the problem, isn't it, mate? That's the problem. You are indeed an honourable member. You've been one for quite a long time now. That's what they call ministers, obviously. That's the problem. I'm glad he went straight to the heart of the problem.
The matter has been given rise to unfounded accusations, even defamation and partisanship. That's what Champagne said. "I complied with the rules. I've always demanded impeccable ethics of myself and my team." Champagne maintained he recused himself from all cabinet decisions, votes, and other matters relating to Alto. Critics challenged the claim. And then he actually gets...
it explains the Conflict of Interest Act. It explains. It's like a cabinet minister, a cabinet member... Oh, sorry, it states that no cabinet member shall use inside information to further private interests of relatives or friends, or participate in making a decision related to the exercise of an official power, duty, or function if the public office holder knows or reasonably should know that, in the making of a decision, he or she would be in a conflict of interest. How's that sound?
And he voted...
I did a very good job. No, that does not apply to me.
And he voted 13 times on the Alto project, by the way. That's a matter of record. And the questioning goes like this: "I'm asking you whether or not your wife is an Alto executive." That's the question, because if Canadians know the case, they know that your household will benefit. And Champagne, he gets a little heated here. You know, they ask him, "Is your wife an executive at Alto?" And he says, "These are allegations." How are they an allegation? Is your wife that's a yes or no question. Is your wife an executive at Alto? These are allegations. And the MP says, "What allegations? You're making allegations that are false." It's a question, isn't it? What is the allegation I'm making that's not true? And then he goes on to say, "Verify what you're doing with lawyers." Again, does your wife work there? That's the question. Isn't that the question? You're politicizing the work of this committee. If you're against a project, that's fine. He's throwing up smoke bombs. That's what he's doing. He's just throwing smoke. He's just throwing smoke bombs after smoke bomb. I mean, it's pretty transparent what he's doing. He won't answer questions. That's it. He won't answer questions.
You see, it's like this little meltdown where he pulls rank.
Let's play the clip here. I think it's right
I've been here for 10 years. You just arrived. I'm an honourable member of this House, not you.
Yeah.
That's like
I can do what I want.
You are.
I can do what I want. Mark said so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, don't you understand, Champagne? You have been there 10 years. That's all the more reason for you to be scrutinised. Because you have been there a long time, haven't you? And things haven't gone very well while you've been there.
Mark said so. I can do what I want. I asked my wife. Let's play this clip here.
The finance minister was just here at committee, and in his final minutes on the question of the correspondence between you and him being released, he said, and I quote, "I'll let the ethics commissioner decide if he wants to share it," end quote. So the minister has said that it's up to you, because we know that normally you would say it's up to him. And so we've got that Spider-Man cartoon with the two Spider-Mans pointing at each other. So the minister says it's up to you. Will you decide, as the minister has said, to share that correspondence?
No, it's not up to the minister to interpret the Act. The Act says quite clear that everything that is given to me is confidential. If the person who gives it to me releases it, I will comment it, etc. Until such time
that's all you need to hear. I told Z that's not the problem. The problem is the guy over there. He says, give it to them. He won't answer. If you want accountability, and you want some of these people to face real questions, you need to change this government, because they will never face accountability without changing this government. You want access to the vaccine records? Change the government. You want access to these records? Change the government. They will never comply. They've shown that over and over and over again. They do not believe in transparency, do not believe in accountability, and I don't think they believe in democracy. They showed that with a manufactured democracy. They showed that for contempt of the media. They show that for the contempt of the democratic system. I don't know what else evidence you have to say, but here, you want to make matters worse. A person that used to work for Alto, they paid that person $12,000 to write his speech for when he delivered the budget. How did somebody get 12 grand to write a speech, like a 15-minute speech? Like, how do you get 12 grand for that? Where do you line up for these jobs? Like, where is the lineup for this job? Because I know you could write that speech way better than what was delivered there. And you could have put your bid in at $11,999. So how it works? Like, where do you line up for this fleecing of the taxpayer? Listen to this.
Is on your speech. $12,000 for a speech written by somebody who works for Alto. Perhaps my question is simple. How can you ask an employee to write a speech that has to do with promoting the company that they work for and then having taxpayers pay for that? So how do you influence, how is that going to influence the project? Mr. Hardy, I have a lot of respect for you, and I'm happy that there are a lot of people like you who are coming to Parliament. But again, you're making allegations, and I'm asking you to be prudent. Did you not pay $12,000? You made allegations. That person was not an employee for a long time. That's why I'm saying it's allegations, but how much time? That's what's concerning. I'm trying to help you because you're making allegations.
That's good enough.
For those
That's good enough, because he does the same thing. It's the same speech he always does. I'm trying to help you. That's what he says. That's his comment.
I respect you.
That's his tell. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. You're making allegations. I am honorable. Yeah. Okay.
Not you. That's what he says. Yeah. He's definitely got a sinister side to him, hasn't he? Old Buble.
And then here's this one. This is the $300,000 in the prescribe it thing. Listen to this. Listen, as you scratch the surface and you try to get at something, this is the Liberal Party. Listen to this.
Janice.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I think Mr. Genuis was talking about the amendment. Now I'm a little, I don't know if you're still on the amendment or you're back on the motion that you introduced. Because you're talking about production of documents now.
Madam Chair, it is just a minute. It is he's right on because he's on his amendment, and I see the watch at 5:30. I call the meeting adjourned.
And he sprints. There you go. There's accountability for you. Okay, there's accountability for you, and we're out. You want accountability?
Why don't you just hang around? It's not like you have to answer any questions. You can just go there like Melanie Jolie and Champagne go and just like be angry little gnomes. Be like aggressive, angry, grumpy gnomes.
They don't
it's
care.
like it's not like they don't have to reveal anything embarrassing. They can just be a-hole in chief, as Corey Tenag said.
Imagine that we have 50,000 people now that are subscribed to this channel. Like come and watch this. Like we have, I think 2.5 million now watching this on a monthly basis. Imagine if most of Canada watched this and highlighted this. How many would put up with this when they can't feed their families? How many would put up with this corruption, this stealing from the taxpayer? Here's another one. This is from Blacklocks, again, independent media. The Canadian Dental Care Program will go billions over budget for years to come. That's from the Department of Health. Patient fee costs will cost taxpayers more than $18 billion for 5 years, a third more than the Cabinet's original estimate of $13 billion.
How many times is that? I'm like, is this just I mean, I know I do this, but I'm a very cynical bugger, so I could imagine that people disagree with my methods. But whenever the government has a price estimate for something, I add about sort of 50% to it. Is that what we have to do now? Does that have to just become like official procedure? If you want to know the true estimate of a price, a cost of a project, just add about 50%.
Yeah, and they're saying that a lot of these costs were buried in budget documents like main estimates, and that's what Francois, that's his game usually in lots of stuff. It's in the budget, you see it there, but it's just a total number. Yeah, but it's in there. Look in there. Yeah, but what's the actual
Remember when
number?
Mark Carney
Look in
said
there.
about the main estimate?
What's
and he was
that?
saying, I'm not sure the leader of the opposition knows what main estimates are. Do you remember that? Something along those lines. We tried to patronize him about. Funny times.
You want accountability? I mean, the amount of money that was spent just in administration was close to $1 billion in 2 years. It's crazy. We've covered this story many times. And here's Anita Anand. She's like the money fairy out there in the world. Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia, like the three amigos, are launching a new international peace fund for Israelis and Palestinians. Canada is contributing $1.8 million over 3 years to support initiatives to foster dialogue, build trust, and strengthen civil society engagement. Read that as NGO gets $1.8 million. What did they accomplish? There's no accountability.
Can I get $1.8 million for some pie in the sky bollocks? Like saying that I'm gonna resurrect King Arthur. I'm gonna find King Arthur, and we're gonna extract Excalibur.
They wouldn't like King Arthur. They wouldn't like King Arthur.
But that's about as grounded in reality as saying we're gonna get peace between Israelis and Palestinians. What are you talking about, man? Shut up, you stupid woman. That's just not acceptable to be told that $1.8 million of taxpayers' money is gonna go to some group so that they can breed unicorns somewhere.
You'd have
Stop
better
doing
luck.
This.
You'd have better luck getting money for Mordor.
This is such an insult. This is like I'm not even exaggerating when I talk about unicorns and King Arthur. This is complete fancy. This is nonsense.
NGO.
You really think $1.8 million from Canadian taxpayers is going to bring about peace between the Jews and the Arabs? That easy to solve that, isn't it? Yeah, that's easy. No trouble solving that one.
It will fill the bank accounts of like Ahmed there in some NGO that he runs, and he kicks back some of it to Anita.
This is our money. Like, we should be so pissed off about this. This is such a waste of money. I know it's like $1.8 million. They don't even blink. They don't think about that as anything. But again, I've said this before. How many people in your life, like how many average Canadian taxpayers would it take to get $1.8 million from a tax year? If you think about how much people contribute to CRA every year, it's not actually that much, is it? When you really think about it, because everybody's so skint. Many people are struggling. But just try and add it up. Think how many people it would take. It's quite a lot of people. And then it's just like, oh yeah, and then we'll give that to an NGO so that they can foster dialogue between Arabs and Israelis. Yeah, good one.
I told you yesterday that sometimes Ian and I are close to bursting a blood vessel with some of the madness we see. It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. We did that the other day. I think it was yesterday or the day before, that they're naming the month Somalia month. But hey, the senator says, why stop there? Let's do National Immigration Month in Canada. That'll be November. Why not? Hey? Why not?
National Immigration Month. So I guess that's going to the majority of that is going to be about French settlers who came from Paris and elsewhere and settled in New France. And then it'll all be about the English and the Scots and the Irish who came in the 19th century Won't it? Won't it? Liberal masters. That's what it's going to be about. It's their version of immigration, really, isn't it? That's the story that they want to tell.
Well, again, you can come here for the future. You can come here for common sense. You can come here for reality. You can come here for truth. And here's Canada's former top defense official, which is a lot better than General Crybaby. Ian put this in just recently, so you have to find this here. Do you want to set this one up?
This is just, he's General Wayne Eyre. He's the guy that Brian Isted said not particularly favourable things about, which was quite funny. You can watch that, the first interview. But he's the one that said, not so long ago in that interview with CTV, he said the obvious. That was Peppa Pig Does Geopolitics, I think, wasn't it? Where he just said the US and Canada are joined. They're joined together. But his next pearl of wisdom is that Canada should not blindly discard existing alliances, like the United States, and then says it's not a good idea to do things like booing national anthems in hockey games and turning those who are friendly to us against us. So yeah, it's just another episode of geopolitics with Peppa Pig, isn't it? But I guess this is high level advice.
We said it when it happened. And then we also showed you how Buffalo embarrassed Canada by actually finishing the Canadian national anthem.
Yeah.
If you're part of the group and you're here listening, repent. Just stop it. Just stop it. Stop with the hate. Stop with the hate.
But he makes a very important point. And we did make this point. It says, try and separate the Americans from Trump. It says, separate the population from the administration. And don't evoke wide-scale nationalism. Yeah. I mean, obviously. Try not. There are many Americans, most Americans, don't have much of a feeling about Canada. And if they do, it's vaguely positive.
And
try not to alienate them.
Yeah, and maybe have yourself a serious discussion of why you dislike Trump and ask you how much of that is based in media spin and how much of that is based in fact. Because you're going to find that a lot of your answers are going to they can't hold water. So just stop it. Just stop it. Here's Gad.
But he's obviously exasperated, isn't he, for him to come out and say this?
Yeah.
This is like highly sanitized. Like the origin of this feeling on his part would probably have been a massive rant. Probably would have sounded a bit like us.
Ridiculous.
Talking about $1.8 million going to Palestine to make the Palestinians and Israelis get on together. He probably had a massive rant, but he was so exercised by it that he decided to refine it and sanitize it and tell it like this. But he's obviously pissed off, as I think quite a number of people in the Canadian elite must be pissed off about the treatment of the United States, because it's obviously suicidal, isn't it?
Listen to this. It started on day one. Donald Trump won the election, won the bloody election. Not like by a whisker, not like debatable. He won the Electoral College. He won the Senate. He won the he won decisively. Those are the facts. That's not like critics say. He won decisively. Justin Trudeau comes out the next day and says that how disappointed he is in that America is basically full of misogynists and how they missed out on the opportunity to elect basically a moron as the president of the United States, because that would have suited the Klaus Schwabs of the world to have another puppet there running the United States, basically wielding Excalibur. That's what they wanted. And then they wonder why the Trump administration was pissed off at the Canadians and Justy. And then Justy has the balls, has the kahunas to go down to Mar-a-Lago on bended knee and say to Donald Trump, don't do trade tariffs against us because it'll break Canada. And he's just like, oh yeah, you say that, eh? Okay. And he showed how weak he was, how he virtue signaled at the podium, and then how weak he was in person. And this has been the continuation. Mark Carney's done the exact same thing. At the podium, he spits vitriol. In front of Donald Trump, he's on bended knee. It doesn't change. The character changes, or the man changes, but the character is the same. And the media is nothing but slaves. Remember that time he was sitting there in the White House, Mark Carney, and Trump was saying things, I'll make you the 51st day, and Carney was winking at the media? Like they're his trained seals. That's what we have.
He thought he was so smart then, didn't he?
Yeah. Fools.
Very smug.
Gad Saad here showing you some stuff. The Islamic forbidden knowledge. And it's the crime rate. Norway published this, or Denmark published this. Interesting, eh? Somalia, 7.76 times more likely to commit crimes in Denmark. That's odd.
We've had this data from Denmark and data like this, and also from the Netherlands and some from Norway, I believe, and maybe even Sweden released some. But we've had data like this for a while, and it was a bombshell. It was like it was a huge moment in the sort of intellectual debate around immigration when it came out. Some people still haven't heard of it though, and so some people are still surprised when they see these charts. But yeah, we have this data now, and it's, you know, people who've decided not to learn about it and decided to remain in ignorance, they're very surprised when they're confronted with it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else can you say. It's not just crime rates. Very similar charts like this when it comes to lifetime net contribution to the state or net extraction from the state. Certain nationalities in their lifetime, on average, contribute quite a lot to the state, net. Like the USA, you know, which is right at the bottom here for crime. USA is right at the top for contribution to the, you know, tax or whatever. So they look at how much they take in social programs and how much they pay in tax. And the American average is very high, and the likes of Morocco are very low. It's just across the board. And this is, you know, people were called all kinds of things. They were denounced in all kinds of ways when they pointed this out. Of course. Before the data was released, when they said, look, societies like this, you know, they're not very prosperous societies. They don't have particularly good education, educational institutions, etc., etc., etc. It was all pointed out, and people said, you know, this might actually end up being bad for us. But yeah, they were just denounced as, you know, as David Eby would say, white supremacists.
You just cued David Eby. Take it away, Dave. Dave's up. You're up, Dave.
I mean, this is just a heartbreaking story about this referee from Somalia, a refugee, a guy who gets a visa from the United States. He has his background prodded and poked, and he gets the sign off from the U.S. to come to the country, and then he shows up and he's turned away at the border and told that he is not eligible to fulfill a life stream and an amazing thing for a refugee young man to be able to do, to referee at a World Cup in North America. What an exciting and amazing thing. I can tell you this, in British Columbia, he would be welcomed and celebrated for his accomplishments. We would be thrilled to have him refereeing games here. The president was very clear in his opinion about Somali refugees. He called them garbage. Well, let me tell you that someone who overcomes the incredible hardships and persecutions of an individual like this should be upheld. And in British Columbia would be considered gold, not garbage.
He leaves out some important facts, but hey, why let facts spoil a virtue signaling moment? Right?
Also, it's like he's very selective, isn't he, when he talks about tragic incidents that happen in foreign countries. Like, for example, has he made a comment about the Henry Novak murder?
No.
Or the attempted beheading of a man in Belfast? Has he made any comments about that? The whole world's talking about both of those cases. Not very many people are talking about Somali referee. That's not, you know, that's like a secondary, tertiary story in the news agenda. But that's the foreign news story that David Eby chooses to discuss.
Well, we're going to try and go a little faster here. Why don't you seem a little fuzzy. Oh, no, you're back now. That's good. But World Cup kicks off, and here's your welcome to Vancouver. Listen up here, folks. Here's your welcome to Vancouver.
Plan to use substances while visiting Vancouver. Here's what you need to know about Vancouver's drug supply. Vancouver's drug supply is contaminated with toxic substances. Current contaminants include fentanyl, benzodiazepines, and the tranquilizer medetomidine. If you're going to use, check your drugs, start low and go slow, don't use alone, and carry naloxone. For more information about local harm reduction services, visit the link in our bio. If you plan...
That's David Eby's British Columbia. Welcome to British Columbia. Here's your message for how to take your drugs. When I was going to school, it would say no to drugs. But not in British Columbia now. Now it's like, here's how, go slow. Welcome to British Columbia. David Eby loves you and your drugs. Decriminalize drugs for everyone. Why not?
But also, it was almost like he was talking about how to throw away your garbage, like what the recycling bins are and stuff. It was like how to ride the bus, you know? It's like, no, you're talking about people buying an illegal substance that funds people that cut off children's faces on videos and publish it on the internet, literally removing the skin from their face so you can just see a skull. And they also do things like removing someone's heart while they're alive and taking a bite out of it. Those are the people that are involved in the drug trade and making sure that these drugs are available on the streets of Vancouver. Just if you were wondering, you strange, smug little turd. But he's talking about this this criminal activity that kills countless people, has killed tens of thousands of people in Canada, millions in the United States, if you look at some statistics. And yeah, he's talking about it like it's like getting on a bus or something. It's like, if you're going to use, this is how you do it, bros. It's like, no, you shouldn't talk about it like that, I don't think. I think you should try and get serious. Stop being such a prat.
So you talked about Britain there in Northern Ireland, what's going on in Belfast and what happened in the UK here. Here's something here that's like strange as well. As they, instead of dealing with the mess they caused, we got a little bit to show you on this. It's good stuff though. They want you to know less, right? Like Ian just shared with some stuff here, like the government here in British Columbia shows you the decriminalization and no harm and all these things that they show you, but they didn't show you the part that Ian talked about there about, like ripping parts out of living bodies and cutting people's faces off. That David Eby never talks about that, does he? Never talks about the ugly side of the drug trade, does he? And that a lot of the drugs that David Eby packaged and some of the insiders got involved with ended up in the streets of Alberta being sold at 5 times the rates.
But this is the thing, man. Also, and I haven't got time to go into it, but if you're worried about things like foreign interference and the sort of subjects that Sam Cooper talks about, that's also completely 100% mixed up with the drug trade. The thing is, people aren't made aware of the morally disgraceful action that they're committing by buying drugs. They should know that. People should know that at $20 or whatever that you give to some hooligan to give you some illegal drug, that is going to go into that system, and it's a system full of the most disgusting murder, corruption, undermining entire political systems, rape, slavery, human trafficking, just all the worst stuff in the whole world. You should obviously be aware of that because, and I know in places like Vancouver, I know they understand this. They understand this idea because it's in Vancouver where they smashed up some Teslas, isn't it? Because somebody had bought Tesla, which is owned by Elon Musk, and Elon Musk's a bad guy. So you should know better. Don't buy a Tesla because it's owned by a bad guy and that money will go to that bad guy and it'll go to Donald Trump. However, if you want to do drugs, which ultimately come from, in many cases, Mexican cartels, I'll show you how to do it. I'll show you how to do it and keep you safe. I want to keep you safe while you do that.
I'll play this clip here.
Social media companies have a very heavy responsibility. It's why we're going to bring forward new powers next week to make it clear that social media companies need to take down illegal content, particularly when we are facing circumstances such as the ones we've seen in Northern Ireland over the last 2 days. And I just want to convey to you the sense of fear that has spread amongst ethnic minority people in Northern Ireland because they saw the scenes that you and others reported on their screens. And they've also heard about, for example, people being stopped in their cars on the way to work to be asked what their nationality is.
Let's just take a look here at what's going to be pressured to be removed from social.
That's good. Here's a lesson for you. You need to exercise your vote. You need to exercise your vote. You need to never vote for these people again. These people here that want to control every movement you make, they don't want to take any responsibility for what they've done. Instead, when bad stuff happens, who do they blame? You again. They blame you again, and they just tighten the noose around your neck.
Yeah. And it's literal peasant bashing. That man there, Hilary Benn, the hilariously named Hillary, is the son of an aristocrat. The son of, I can't remember what he was, Tony Benn, a lord of some kind. I met his dad, actually, a very famous socialist who was, let's have a look, the Viscount Stansgate. That was his name, so he was a Viscount. That's Hilary Benn's dad, who was also a very famous politician. Now Hillary stands there. I'm not sure if he's inherited the aristocratic title, but he stands there and basically starts whipping the peasants. It's all too on the nose, I'm afraid. It's too much for me. I can't take it seriously.
I mean, if I was ever running, if he and I were ever running this government, I would make sure everybody felt the full brunt of the law and accountability and strip them of any wealth they gained illegally. And trotted it all out there into the open. Just put it all out there into the sunshine for them. John Healey resigned now. Al Carnes has resigned. Now Pamela Nash resigns as Keir Starmer's, we'll go to the next one there, Labour Party starts to fall apart. But what's Keir say? Take it away, Keir, because Keir loves pressure. Listen,
Walk away.
Keir.
I don't think we should plunge the country into the chaos of a leadership election.
But if that happens and you stand, wouldn't you be a contributor to that chaos?
I don't think it should happen.
But if it does
happen, I will fight. And let me just be clear with you, that's not about personal vanity. It's not about stubbornness. It's out of a very deep sense of duty. I was elected to serve this country, notwithstanding the difficult circumstances. That is what I am doing. And in the last few weeks, others have made their own case. Mm-hmm. I've been concentrating on the job I was elected to do, which is to deliver for this country. This is about a sense of service and duty. It's not vanity, it's not stubbornness.
Let me just quote an old English line. You've been weighed and measured, and you've come up short. Get out.
Yeah. Well, people are really, I mean, I know they said this last time, but they're really doubtful of his chances. Andrew Marr, who's an old BBC journalist, who's kind of a lefty, quite close with the Labour Party, he did an interview today, I think, where he said, like, my phone is just going constantly from Labour MPs saying he's toast, like he's actually done this time. So, but I don't know, he somehow miraculously survived. There's a by-election going on, and his would-be replacement, the so-called King in the North, Andy Burnham, he's intending to win that by-election, and if he does, he's going to initiate a leadership election. So, but how funny was that? Where it's like, this is not about me. It's like, this is all about you. It's
100%. It's not about vanity. It's not about vanity, but it's about,
I'm not
me.
doing this because I want to stay in power. I never wanted that. Let me be clear. I never wanted to be Prime Minister. It's just too ridiculous, isn't it? What a farce.
Get out. Take Macron and the rest with you. Albanese. And, take your friend Justin. Like there's no accountability for them. What's that Jacinda traipsing around the world as well?
Well, she moved to Australia, didn't she? Jacinda Ardern.
And this is just to put in like how the media is so subservient. Look at this article put out by the Globe and Mail too. Social media bill forces companies to label AI content harmful. As Mark Miller poses there with his whatever the, and then another one here is they just basically are just like put out his stuff just like it was like, you know, the way it is. And then here's none other than Mackie. Mackie jumps in. Says, thanks for joining the movement. Welcome to the WEF.
And that's what we had it on very briefly earlier on. Douglas Carswell, former British MP that we interviewed, he highlighted that tweet there from Macron and said that he finds it so strange that it's happening like simultaneously. And it seems because it is Australia, UK, Canada.
Klaus, I said that. I said that when Australia was doing it. It's coming to Canada, and you said it too. It's coming. It's just like, and you've said it how many times? Like, look to Britain. You're looking at the future. It's coming here. Yeah. Whatever's happening there is going to show up here. Sure enough, you know, Klaus calls. Let's make it happen. And Justin, like, what a fool. Anthony says he likes our Friday shows, right? Because I think we're punchy by Friday because we're just gone through a week of this. I think we're a little punchy.
Who says that?
Anthony said he loves our Friday shows.
Funny. Yeah, but I just wanted to say the obvious. I haven't said it yet because I think it's just so obvious to everybody. But this idea that they're going to put the age restrictions and you have to show your passport or whatever it is to get on certain websites. I mean, like, I've said this a few times, but have you been on the internet? Not just lately. Have you been on this thing called the internet? You know, like, do you really think like that's going to work? People have been getting around this stuff forever. You know, like websites hosting like illegal content where people download films and stuff like that. It's been going on since the beginning of the internet. How many times has that been like criminalized? Do you remember those little videos they say like, would you steal a car? And it was like, why would you steal a movie? It's like, yeah, people have been stealing them from the start and they're still doing it now, even though there's been lots of like banging of the desk and promises have been made. The internet's not really like that. The internet's, to an extent, it's almost like too free for states to completely block things. So if kids want to see pornography or whatever it is, or they want to go on a kind of social media website, they'll find a way. Of course they will. So that's the context to this. It's like you're doing all this and it's not even going to work.
You know, a lot of people on the census too, they're not filling them out, they're sending them back, and then, you know, they got these people out there, 32,000 people out there making you fill them out and charging you $500 a fine or whatever for not filling it out. I've known people that have filled them out and put in their, you know, like their language, your preferences, like Klingon, and your ethnicity, like, you know, Klingon. Just, you know, sex, wherever you can get it.
Oh, was it in Austin Powers? Yes, please.
We are punchy on Friday. The really big salute, though. And like I said, this guy here likely saved the Western democracy as well by buying X. I mean, he deserves a salute, and he's done a lot, and he continues to do a lot. He's got a lot of big burden. He's got the whole left attacking him steady, and you can basically understand who the globalists are by who attacks Elon Musk. There you go. They just self-identify. They just come right out of the woodwork and they self-identify. Play the clip there. And a big salute to Elon Musk. Play the clip.
Well, thank you, Gwen. Gwen Shotwell's been an incredible partner and was one of the first people to join the company. And So thank you, Gwen. Oh, she's in New York, of course. Where is she? Yeah, it is certainly hard to believe that a little company that started in a warehouse in El Segundo is now going public for with the largest IPO that ever. And let me tell you, if people had told me this was going to happen, I was like, man, you must be smoking some really good crack, because I think this company's going to fail. I mean, I gave SpaceX less than a 10% chance of succeeding at all, to be clear. In fact, I told people this. I said, look, we're probably going to fail, but we should give it a try, because if we don't, if there's not a new company that enters space, we will never be a truly spacefaring civilization. While the other aerospace companies, they build good rockets and everything, they were simply not pursuing the technology that's necessary to make life multiplanetary.
That's good. That's good. And Gwen there, she's killing it right now. She's in the top of that list, and she's, hundreds of millions of dollars because she's one of the first employees. So not too shabby. Not too shabby. Like I said, he doesn't exclude people. I mean, that's what people have to know. Like, I mean, that's weird for a fascist, right? Sure, I mean, weird. Weird actions. And
yeah, he doesn't really he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, does he? What his enemies want him to do.
He wears that same jacket all the time. He's not like Jeff. Jeff's got the the big yacht and all the other stuff. Good for Jeff or whatever, right? But Bill Gates is the more sinister one, and that's the hero of the left. That's the weird part. The hero of the left, Bill Gates, who's trotted on all the left-leaning media, the guy that shoved COVID down your throat, the guy that tells you about you shouldn't have any energy while he traipses all around the world, and the guy that loves to visit islands and young girls. That's the hero of the left. That's the hero of the left. This guy, who does exactly the opposite of that, believes in having as many kids as you can, believes in interplanetary, extending human life past Earth, and a whole bunch of other things, and actually saving the planet with his EVs in his own way. He's the devil? Come on. Let's not forget, these are the same people that put Nelson Mandela in jail, sentenced to life in prison in 1964 on this day in history. Nelson Mandela. Remember Jean Chrétien the other day? Said we don't give the Order of Canada to criminals. All right, Ian pointed out. I think he got one. He spent 27 years in prison. That's what I mean. These people don't even know what they're saying.
Possibly the most famous prisoner in the history of the world. I'm trying to think of a more famous one. Very amusing.
You have to figure out a way to go forward and use your common sense, and stop allowing them to paint your world of hatred. That's what it is. If you look at most of the policies, the benefit of the few, the expense of the many. And they always have a villain in there, right? David Eby always has a villain. And that villain is either Danielle Smith, Donald Trump. There's always a straw man. None of it, no responsibility whatsoever. Ever. And here's Ronald Reagan, tear down that wall. I remember that. I actually can visualize that when he said, tear down this wall. That was Mikhail Gorbachev. I think he had the map of something on the side of his head there. What was that? He had a birthmark on the top of his head there, right? Mikhail Gorbachev. Yeah. And then also in 1929, Anne Frank was born. And again, somebody that suffered a lot, under the Nazi rule. In today's world, in Canada, she might be a villain, right?
defying the authorities.
They might have taken her social media away. In 1963, Medgar Evers assassinated. And that was in the civil rights movement. Murdered outside his Jackson, Mississippi home. That's our show. It was a long one, eh? It was a long show.
Yeah, the Canada game is going to kick off soon.
There you go.
19 minutes. Canada v. Bosnia.
And
we're going to shout patriotism.
I'll be back at 1 o'clock. Ian's going to clip up or do some stuff on all these stories, and now we're going to try and get some of those interviews all clipped up and that too for the weekend there. So I do want to say one last time, like we're over 50,000 subs now, which is a moment for us anyway as we do this. And we appreciate that. 50,020. Again, if you can share this far and wide, our next goal is 100. That'd be great if we could do that in a timely fashion. So, and then we're also going to, we're going to make some plans. We're going to reach out to the White House, see if we can get into the White House briefing room. We'll reach out again and again to Mr. Carney and see if he wants to come on. We've already practiced our giggle, so we're ready. We're good to go with the giggles.
Yeah.
Ian's going to do a more sinister giggle though, so there's that.
Just hope the Americans let us in.
They're going to love
we'll
us.
have to wear a red hat. Do you think we should wear a red hat and that'll let us in? I've got one here that I actually got from an American company.
You can show it or what? There you go. Red hat.
It's not what you were expecting, was it?
No. I thought you were. Everybody's like,
but I did get it from an American company, from Costco. There you go. Get yourselves down. Costco's patriotic to Canada.
And Costco gives a shit. They still have a $1.50 hot dog.
Yeah. With a massive drink that you can refill.
Yeah. You can put your head underneath there and just guzzle. Canada. That's anyway. Take away their power.
The red hats.
Take away their power. Unfollow them wherever you can and put this show under everything. And we're not going to do a show today because we got another interview coming up. But next week we're going to do a member show. And then one of the lucky members is going to win a silver dollar, a silver maple, a 1 ounce of pure Canadian silver. 1 ounce of pure Canadian. Thank you to Valiant Goat there for he just gifted 5 memberships. We appreciate all our members, and we appreciate a shout out to our moderators as well that are highlighted in blue there. Diana, Clojo, Sin Master, and my 2 cents.
People don't like the hat.
People don't like the hat?
Think that it's in liberal red.
No. That's okay.
What else is red? Other things are red, aren't they?
When we finally win government, Ian and I will take the red away from them too. We'll give them pinstripes instead. Get it? They can have pinstripes.
Communist red.
No, they can have pinstripes that go up and down.
Yeah.
You know what that means, right? They can have pinstripes. Black and whites. That's our show. Cheerio. Pip, pip. And we'll see you Monday morning, 9 a.m. PST. Bring some friends and show this far and wide. Make sure everybody watches that Sam Cooper. Share that wherever you can. Just bust that out there. And Jasmine Lane was great last week too. Or last week, a couple days ago.
A few days ago.
Aaron Pete.
A few marvelous lads.
Aaron Pete at 1 o'clock, and I'll be flying solo. I'm flying close to the sun. So, all right. Cheerio. I'll see you at 1. Ian will see you on Monday. Cheers. Thanks for watching NowMedia and the really big show.